in prison. I develop mechas to break out. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401, Unequal War. The same scene happened again. Above the Earth, a 300-meter long strange-shaped warship appeared through space. It appeared without any signs, and it was obviously coming using space jump technology. The warship was detected as soon as it appeared. The 1st Division of the 1st Army in the lunar base received the order from the military command center as soon as possible. Hans and Yang almost ran into the command center of the 1st Division. Sound the alarm, all combatants in the division. Prepare immediately. Hans and Yang roared, and then asked, "What's the situation now?" The staff of the command center operated it, and the situation in space immediately appeared on the big screen. Seeing the strange-shaped warship, Hans and Yang's heart also twitched fiercely, and gritted his teeth and said, "Does the ground know about this situation?" "Already know. The latest order has been sent. Let us 1st Division dispatch, as soon as possible, and intercept the enemy in space at all costs," the communicator shouted. Hans and Yang nodded, and at this time, all combatants of the whole division had come online one after another. The latest command system has been online for a long time. Now it can accurately identify each combat unit and mark them with divisions, regiments, battalions, and companies. It can be clearly seen on the 3-dimensional projection. "Let them go," Hans and Yang ordered. On the back of the moon, the base left by the Oma civilization has been requisitioned and became the base of the 1st Division. Now a line of figures rushed into the sky and headed for the Earth. In front of Hans and Yang, the holographic projection has simulated the enemy warships based on the detection. If it is enlarged, the positions of the Earth and the moon are clearly visible. On the moon side, red dots appeared one after another, densely packed, and quickly headed towards the Earth. These are all Zoonians, now gathered together, marked with speed, estimated arrival time, etc. "Let the laser cannon fire," Hans and Yang ordered. The entire lunar base is close and the environment is better than Mars, so 2 laser cannon bases have been built, with a total of 12 large laser cannons. As early as when the alarm was sounded, the 12 laser cannons had already begun to charge, and are now ready. Following Hans and Yang's order, 12 huge laser cannons on the moon's surface erupted with blazing flames, and the laser beams penetrated space and shot at the warship. The warship appeared in the Earth's synchronous orbit, which was only more than 300,000 kilometers away from the moon. At this distance, the laser cannon at the speed of light could reach it in 1 second. 12 laser beams went in parallel, cutting through the dark space, like a meteor falling from the sky, and reached the warship in an instant. Boom. But the 12 beams hit an air wall out of thin air hundreds of meters away from the warship. A light blue light curtain slowly appeared in an elliptical shape, wrapping the entire warship. Energy shield. Hans and Yang was not surprised at all. If there was no energy shield, it would probably not dare to wander in space. The 12 laser beams slowly dissipated. Hans and Yang didn't know how much the energy shield reduced the efficiency, but he knew that the 2 laser cannon bases had completed their mission. It takes 5 seconds to charge this large laser cannon, and this time is enough for the opponent to counterattack. The problem is that the other side has a large energy shield, but the laser cannon base does not. Currently, only small energy shields have been developed, and large-scale technology is still under development. So the other side can use energy shields to resist attacks, while the laser cannon base can only be bombed. This is a completely unequal war. Sure enough, the next moment when the 12 laser beams were blocked by the energy shield, 4 laser beams were shot out from the light battleship, directly hitting the moon. 1 second later, the 2 laser cannon bases were hit head-on by the laser beams. Boom, boom, it turned into a ruin. The construction cost of tens of billions was only fired once. Hans and Yang's heart was bleeding, but there was nothing he could do. Who made the technology inferior to others? At this time, 2 laser beams rose from the direction of the Earth, penetrated the atmosphere, and shot towards the enemy warship. Judging from the direction, it should have been fired by the M country. Laser cannon bases have been built in many places around the world, but at this time, this battleship was located above the M country, and other laser cannon bases were not within the shooting angle at all. The two laser beams penetrated the atmosphere, consuming a lot of power. When they were shot at the energy shield, as expected, they did not break the energy shield. But the purpose of everything was just to consume the energy shield. Once the energy shield was broken, the battleship itself would be much weaker. At this time, tens of thousands of soldiers from the 1st Division who rushed out of the lunar base also opened fire. Tens of thousands of laser beams cut through the space, like thousands of arrows, shooting at the energy shield, splashing a little light. Disperse. Don't stop attacking. Break the energy shield on the periphery first. Under the command of the regiment leader, the various regiments dispersed like a sparrow exploding its nest. After the last battle with Falkman, the army brought together military experts from all over the world, conducted many tactical deductions, and analyzed the battle process, summed up the advantages of the enemy and us, and explored feasible countermeasures. The first point is that before the existing energy shield technology is broken through, humans will inevitably be on the weak side of the war. In this case, the only way to win the war is to fight hard, use human lives to fill the gap, carry forward the spirit of barefoot people who are not afraid of wearing shoes, and dare to pull down the emperor without hesitation. The nuclear weapons that have been abandoned and destroyed worldwide have been taken out again. For this reason, Country Z took out its treasured nuclear weapons and developed related projection devices, which are figuratively called the No One Dare to Die armor. In simple terms, it is to put a layer of armor shell on the nuclear warhead, and under the control of artificial intelligence, with the help of the ultra-high speed of the armor, it is quickly delivered to the predetermined pole for detonation. However, this scheme has a huge flaw. That is, the explosion of a nuclear bomb in space, and on Earth, will have completely different results. Because space is a vacuum, energy has no propagation medium, and it will not form a huge mushroom cloud like an explosion on Earth, and produce a devastating shockwave. A nuclear bomb exploding in space may only form a hot light spot, just like the sun, generating ultra-high temperature at the core of the explosion. At the same time, energy spreads outward in the form of radiation particles and electromagnetic pulses. At this time, the nuclear bomb is a large EMP bomb, and this kind of impact can be easily resisted by the energy shield. At the same time, there is no wind in space, and the nuclear waste formed after the nuclear bomb will float in space for a long time. Coupled with the large-scale EMP, it will cause serious damage to surrounding satellites. In summary, nuclear bombs are not the best choice in space. Country Z has only prepared such a plan, and whether to use it will ultimately be decided by the Emergency Committee. Chapter 402 Fighting Method. In addition to the nuclear bomb, Country E also proposed a plan, which is to install a self-destruct device on the Zhou Yang. However, this also has a big problem. The Zhou Yang uses cold fusion, not thermonuclear fusion. It does not have ultra-high temperature, and will not explode at a distance like a hydrogen bomb. And even if it really explodes like a hydrogen bomb, its lethality in space is extremely limited. However, the weapons experts of Country Z provided a plan, which is to modify the energy output device, so that after the self-destruct device is activated, it will charge the energy, and then burst out at once, to form the power of a laser weapon. After testing, before the cold fusion device is damaged, the accumulated energy is enough to reach the power of the existing DA laser cannon. This plan was finally determined, and all the newly produced Zhou Yangs were equipped with this system, and the previously produced ones were also returned to the factory for certain modifications. Especially the frontline troops, such as those stationed on Mars and the Moon, all replaced this Zhou Yang, adding a means of dying together with the enemy. In addition, military experts from various countries have also explored the way of war. They all think that the war between space and ground war is completely different. The confrontation between spear and shield is more prominent, and the role of superior firepower will be greater. In simple terms, it is to stand and shoot to see whose artillery is more powerful. However, the current technological level of the Earth has not reached this level. The only weapon available is the Mecha. After discussion by military experts, it is believed that the Battle of Mecha should not be fought with laser swords at close range like the last battle with the Falkman battleship. The mecha is not as powerful as the carrier-based aircraft, but it is more flexible than the carrier-based aircraft, and can be identified as an optimized carrier-based aircraft unit. Therefore, the most appropriate way of fighting should be to use speed to roam, use various laser weapons, attack from a distance, and consume the enemy's energy shield. After the energy shield is broken, it is still necessary to continue to attack in this way. Melee weapons should only be used in land wars, and after contact with enemy combat units. Based on this combat idea, the weapon system of Zhou Yang has been further upgraded. The laser sword is still retained, but a powerful laser gun is installed. It is no longer the small laser gun mounted on the arm before, but a real gun with a larger caliber and greater power. It is powered by the mecha, and can fight for a long time. So after the mecha of the 1st Division rushed out of the base, they immediately dispersed and advanced towards the battleship in parallel. While advancing, all the soldiers took out their laser guns and started shooting. Tens of thousands of laser beams cut through the space and instantly fell on the energy shield of the battleship, causing the energy shield to tremble. The battleship also immediately counterattacked. On the battleship, a full 22 weapon systems began to attack, and laser beams were fired at the soldiers of the 1st Division. At such a close distance, the laser beam can reach the target in 1 second after it is fired. Therefore, there is little time left for the soldiers to react, and at such a long distance, the attack direction of the battleship cannot be captured at all. Moreover, the eyes can only see the beam, that is, when you see the battleship attack, the laser beam has already arrived in front of you, and there is no time to dodge. The laser beam swept past, and the Zhou Yang's powerful armor was like paper, melting wherever it touched. In the first round of attack, 50 or 60 soldiers were killed. Spread out further, and maintain mobility. Many soldiers spread out further. At this time, the carrier-based aircraft of the enemy warship also began to move out. One by one, the carrier-based aircraft flew out from the inside of the warship like shuttles, broke through the energy shield, and headed for the 1st Division. The speed was extremely fast, and the firepower was not weak. There were 4 sets of weapon systems on the carrier-based aircraft, and the fire control system was extremely excellent. One round of attack could directly take the lives of 4 soldiers. But the shooting speed of these carrier-based aircraft was also very fast, once per second. A total of 52 carrier-based aircraft caused more casualties than the warship itself. In the Lunar Command Center, the holographic projection fully presented the situation of the entire battlefield. The intelligent program was also analyzing the battlefield and feeding back data. Hans and Yang immediately noticed the huge lethality of these carrier-based aircraft. The warship is huge and has poor flexibility. In addition, the weapon system of the warship is extremely powerful. Attacking the mecha is like using an anti-aircraft gun to kill a mosquito, which wastes the power of the weapon. Moreover, this thing, like an aircraft carrier in space, is mainly used to build weapons and combat personnel. The best way to deal with the mecha is to dispatch carrier-based aircraft or mecha. Let them concentrate their forces, and give priority to these carrier-based aircraft. Hans and Yang immediately ordered. After the order was conveyed, a large number of Zhou Yang's immediately turned their guns, and began to attack these carrier-based aircraft. The speed of carrier-based aircraft is extremely fast, far exceeding that of Zhou Yang, but it is only about 20,000 kilometers. Under dense coverage, it can still cause casualties. However, carrier-based aircraft also have energy shields, and it often takes 2 to 3 rounds of dense coverage attacks to destroy a carrier-based aircraft. Both sides suffered casualties, especially on the human side, where the casualties were huge. On Earth, when the warship appeared, Zhou Yang had been busy all night and was catching up on sleep. So when the alarm came, Zhou Yang was dragged out of bed by the special situation. Zhou Yang was so drowsy that he didn't even know what happened. It was not until he was taken to the underground air defense facility that he realized that the alien warship had arrived. In an instant, Zhou Yang woke up. Fuxi! Zhou Yang shouted. Under the Research Institute was an emergency shelter that could withstand a nuclear bomb attack. Now a large number of scientific researchers were evacuating here. In Zhou Yang's own room, a flash of light appeared, and Fuxi appeared with a serious expression. What's the situation? Zhou Yang asked hurriedly. In front of Fuchsie, the situation in space immediately appeared. 5 minutes ago, this warship suddenly appeared. It is speculated that it appeared using space jump technology. After it appeared, they launched 3 unknown objects to the Earth, which are about to fall on the Earth. The military command center has raised the first level alarm. All military forces in the world have been mobilized. Important personnel and regions have also been evacuated urgently. Major cities have also issued attack warnings. Departments at all levels are organizing evacuations and refuges. Zhou Yang nodded and gritted his teeth and said, "Is it the warship of Tadesadin? It should be." Fuchsie said. The warship in the projection kept zooming in. It can be seen that there is a shield and a triangle at the top of the warship. This symbol is the symbol of Desadin civilization. It seems that they are coming in. Zhou Yang said. I'm afraid that the interception force of Desadin civilization has received news of what happened on Uranus. Now they are breaking into the solar system to determine the situation inside the solar system. Chapter 403 Small Scene. It can be imagined that the interception fleet of the Desadin civilization sent out 3 mechas at the beginning, just to track Urasaur, or just to see what the mother planet that the Oma civilization was preparing to evacuate looked like. Then these 3 mechas collided with Zubin and Hezin. They found that there was a civilized planet hidden inside the solar system, and it also had weapons of the level of mechas. So in order to find out the situation clearly, the warships drove in. How is the battle situation? Have you started intercepting? Zhou Yang asked. Fuchsie nodded and said, the latest news about the 3 unknown objects that landed on the Earth has been transmitted back. They are 3 mechas. They encountered the 305th Missile Division that was transferred, but the 305th Missile Division could not withstand the attack of the mechas. Now the support force has arrived and is fighting with the enemy mechas. No further news has been transmitted back. In terms of space, the 1st Division of the 1st Army of the Space Force has been dispatched. The battle situation is now tense, and we have suffered heavy losses. The relevant battle losses were listed. Zhou Yang took a closer look and found that the 2 laser cannon bases of the lunar base had been destroyed, and the mechas of the 1st Division had lost more than 200 units. On the side of the Desertine battleship, the energy shield of the battleship had not been broken, and 13 of the 52 carrier-based aircraft had been destroyed. What did the command center decide? Zhou Yang asked. Fuchsie said, the command center has sent the 2nd Division out and is rushing to the battlefield. By the way, the command center plans to send out the death mechas and drop nuclear bombs. Oh. Zhou Yang was stunned. Of course he knew about the death mechas, and hurriedly said, get the emergency committee and the military command center in for me. Fuchsie nodded, and the next moment, the military command center came in. Mr. Zhao, Wang Mazhao and Li Xianshu were both present at the command center. When they saw Zhou Yang, they nodded. Mr. Zhao, are you okay? Have you gone to the shelter? Li Xianshu asked. After that, he added, I have arranged for someone to transfer your lover to the underground shelter on your side. It will be safer on your side. Thank you. Zhou Yang felt warm in his heart. Li Xianshu was still thoughtful. At this time, the 7 members of the emergency committee also connected to the communication. They should have entered the emergency shelters of their respective countries. It's not that they are afraid of death, but they are all leaders and responsible persons. Once they die, it will take a long time to replace the command system. Zhou Yang nodded to several people and said, I heard that you are planning to launch the deathmatch. In order to deploy the deathmatch, the emergency committee must nod its approval. Yes, we have this idea and are preparing it. Zhou Yang said quickly, if you ask me, it's better not to launch the nuclear bomb. Several people were stunned and didn't understand. Zhou Yang said, first of all, I have told you before that the power of nuclear bombs in space is extremely limited. Now the energy shield of the enemy warship has not been broken at all, and the damage caused by the nuclear bomb to it is almost zero. If the energy shield is broken, it is meaningless to deploy nuclear bombs. Relying on mechas can cause huge damage to enemy warships, and the pollution caused by nuclear bombs is too serious. There are a large number of communication satellites in the Earth's orbit. If a nuclear bomb is detonated, these communication satellites may all be scrapped, causing unnecessary losses and waste. Several people hesitated, and Scene said, "Mr. Zhou, it has already been in this situation. If we don't launch nuclear bombs, will it be too late?" Zhou Yang asked back, "What is the situation?" Scene said, "The aliens have already hit the Earth. If we don't fight back, the Earth will suffer huge losses." The other people nodded. These aliens have already hit the Earth. Unlike Fockman and his group last time, this time they attacked directly as soon as they appeared, and even launched mechas to land on the Earth. Zhou Yang shook his head and said, "No, I think the current situation is nothing." Everyone was stunned. If this is not serious, then what is serious? Zhou Yang said, "The real seriousness is that a large number of warships appear, or the main battleships can destroy the entire Earth in a very short time. That is an emergency. And now, the enemy only has one warship, which is at most a minor situation. With the firepower configuration of the enemy warship, even if we don't fight back, it will be extremely difficult for him to destroy our Earth." Everyone's expression was a little strange, but after thinking about it carefully, they found that what Zhou Yang said made sense. The Earth is so big, with the firepower of the enemy warships, even if it is bombed all over, it will take a long time. Zhou Yang continued, "The current situation is that we are at a disadvantage in key technologies, but we have a numerical advantage, so the result of this battle is that we pay a certain price to win, whether it is destroying the enemy warships or the enemy warships escape." "Mr. Zhou, will the loss be too great?" Wang Mazhao said softly. "In just a short while, hundreds of Zuanians have been lost." Zhou Yang said with a serious face, "This is a war, a clash between civilizations, and losses are inevitable. Although my words are a bit cold, compared to our huge population of 7 billion, the loss of hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands cannot be considered an unacceptable loss. Of course, the premise is that we win." These days, Zhou Yang's mentality has slowly adjusted, and he understands that it is impossible to avoid death in the current situation. There will definitely be losses, but they are all within an acceptable range. In the past wars on Earth, millions or tens of millions of people died at any time, and they have also slowed down. The real serious thing is the irresistible enemy, the inability to see future victory, and the disappearance of civilization. And now, temporary losses have won a certain amount of time. In the foreseeable future, the warships can be completed, and more weapons can be built. This war is still to be fought. Everyone fell into deep thought. At this time, someone in the command center on Wang Mazhao's side suddenly shouted, "Minister, the enemy ship has started." Wang Mazhao's face changed, and he hurried to check the situation. On Zhou Yang's side, Fuxi also transmitted the latest situation back in real time. In space, the tail of the warship of the Decident civilization ejected energy, slowly started, and began to accelerate. The direction was not the Earth, but the opposite direction. The remaining carrier-based aircraft were also evacuating the warship quickly. "Sir, they seem to be evacuating," Fuxi said. Zhou Yang nodded and said, "It seems that our attack has reached the bottom line of their energy shield. They underestimated our strength this time, so they drove the warship directly over without doing intelligence reconnaissance in advance. Now they have encountered our powerful counterattack, and can only choose to evacuate. For an unknown civilization, they should at least explore the situation first, before deciding how to fight." However, this warship was careless and directly jumped over in space. It may be because the war with the Oma civilization was too smooth, and they didn't take the Earth seriously at all. Chapter 404 They Will Come Again. In space, the battleship of Decident started slowly, and began to accelerate. Hans and Niang also discovered this at the first time, and immediately ordered all Zuanians to abandon the carrier-based aircraft, concentrate firepower, and attack the battleship first. In fact, there was no need to pay attention to the carrier-based aircraft at this time. The remaining carrier-based aircraft rushed to the battleship frantically, fearing that they would be abandoned by the battleship if they ran too slowly. The energy shield was shaking, and was about to collapse. It was almost there. Hans and Niang was a little unwilling, and he wanted to drive the Zuanian out to help. At this time, after 10 seconds of acceleration, the speed of the battleship finally reached a critical point, and then whoosh, the whole battleship was virtualized and wrapped in a ball of energy. The space in front was also torn into a gap. The battleship flashed and disappeared into the gap. After all, he ran away. Han's and Niang's face was full of depression and unwillingness. The 7 people on the emergency committee also looked a little dissatisfied. Damn it, he actually let him run away. The person in charge of Country Z said angrily. Zhou Yang sighed with regret and said, "It's normal to run away. Our attack strength is very predictable. If I were the captain of this battleship, I would also leave some precautions so that there would be enough time to start the space jump and escape. The efficiency of the energy shield, the intensity of the attack, and the time required to start the space jump are all quantifiable data. As long as this battleship wants to leave, it can definitely leave." "Mr. Zhao, do you think they will come back?" Xin asked. The other 6 people immediately became alert. Compared with the escaped battleship, they were more concerned about whether there would be more battleships. For this battleship, humans are not going out in full force, but they are not far behind. If another whole fleet comes, it may really be unbearable. Zhou Yang thought for a while and said, "Although I also want to say that they will not come again, the fact is that they will definitely come. I think this battleship from the Decidin civilization will mistake us for the Oma civilization, so when they go back and report the news, there will definitely be a large fleet of the Decidin civilization coming." The breathing of the 7 people was obviously a little heavier. The person in charge of Country Z smiled bitterly and said, "Aren't we just blocking the bullets for the Oma civilization in vain? Can't we communicate with this Decidin civilization, explain our identity, and then coexist peacefully?" Yes, they fight their own battles. Although the home planet of the Oma civilization is also the Earth, we are completely different civilizations from the Oma civilization. In their previous wars, we should remain neutral, right? Xin said. Zhou Yang said, "I think the premise of maintaining neutrality is that we have enough strength to protect ourselves. Just like Switzerland in World War II, the whole world fought with pig brains, but they remained neutral. Is it really kind of all countries? Of course not, because Switzerland has all soldiers and good equipment. It's just a small place, so there is no point in conquering it. This is just like the Earth now. Compared with the entire Oma civilization and the Decidin civilization, it is just a small place. For the Decidin civilization, it doesn't matter whether it conquers the Earth or not, but humans cannot pin their hopes of survival on the mercy of the Decidin civilization. Only when you have a gun in your hand and let the Decidin civilization know that the Earth civilization is not easy to mess with can you truly survive." The person in charge of Country Z smiled and said, "Mr. Zhao is right. Without strength, all peace is false. If they can conquer the Oma civilization today, they will conquer the Earth civilization sooner or later tomorrow. Now and in the future, we can never and must not compromise." The remaining few people thought about it and nodded one after another. Zhou Yang nodded secretly. In this case, it is very important for the attitude of the top leaders to remain consistent. After several people went offline, Zhou Yang sighed and asked, "Have you counted how many people were lost?" Fuxi said, 468 people were lost. Zhou Yang trembled slightly. 468 people, another bloody number. It is conceivable that more people will be sacrificed in the future. There is no mercy in the collision between civilizations. By the way, what about the 3 alien mechas that landed on the Earth? Have they been destroyed? Zhou Yang asked again. Fuxi said, "No further news has been received yet. They should still be fighting. The 3 mechas that landed on the Earth may cause greater losses. Let's go. Notify everyone that the alarm is lifted and everyone returns to work. Also, after dealing with the 3 mechas, send them here as soon as possible. I want to study them." Zhou Yang said. Now all Zhou Yang can do is to complete the construction of the warship as soon as possible and prepare for future wars. Beside the highway, Azua Neon appeared and slashed the black mecha with a knife. The huge force and inertia carried the black mecha to an unknown distance and hit the ground hard. The field was like an aerial bomb, and a huge crater was blown out. "Wife, are you okay?" Wan Hui came back to his senses and hurriedly looked at Yang Mei in his arms. Yang Mei looked a little painful, but still shook her head and said, "I'm fine, husband, what was that just now?" Wan Hui looked into the distance and saw only dust and smoke billowing, and nothing else could be seen clearly. he said. It should be a mecha. On the highway, Wu Changjin looked at the impact point. As soon as possible, dust and smoke billowed, and nothing could be seen clearly. The next moment, there was a bang, and a golden light shot up into the sky. It was Zhou Yang. But it didn't fly up on its own initiative, but was knocked away. Below, a black mecha rushed out, and with a bang, a sonic boom appeared, sweeping across, and the shockwave formed directly blew Wu Changjin away. The glass of the surrounding military vehicles also shattered with a crash. Wu Changjin shook his head and climbed up, and immediately said, "Quick, let the troops evacuate to the bottom of the highway. The speed of these mechas is too fast, and the sonic boom causes huge damage." The Zhou Yang was left with a wound on its chest after being knocked away, and the outer armor was almost split open. The driver Zheng Tao shook his head, and the voice of the command center came to his ear. "Zheng Tao, lead the enemy away. The damage on the ground is too great." "Understood." Zheng Tao came back to his senses and took advantage of the force of being knocked away to soar into the sky. The black mecha followed closely, pulling out a series of sonic boom clouds, and instantly caught up with the Zhou Yang, and a knife cut through it, leaving another wound. "The mecha is damaged. Please pay attention." The system prompt sounded. Zheng Tao didn't care. Seeing that the height was about the same, he wielded his laser sword and fought with the black mecha. The black mecha's attack speed was obviously faster, which should be, because the mecha performance was more advantageous than Zhou Yang. However, Zheng Tao was not given up for nothing. His combat skills were higher. However, the protection of the black mecha was obviously stronger. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in the communication channel. "Zheng Tao, disperse." Zheng Tao's heart moved, and he fled quickly. Just as he fled, a laser beam broke through the air. The speed was so fast that the black mecha could not avoid it at all, and was instantly submerged by the laser beam. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405, Climbing the Ladder. The black mecha was blown away directly, and a huge damage appeared on its body. The armor was broken. However, the earth has an atmosphere, so the mecha is broken, and it will not be instantly frozen into popsicles like in space. But Zheng Tao immediately discovered that the alien with a broken mecha was shaking, as if he couldn't adapt to the environment on Earth. Is it because he can't adapt to the environment on Earth? Or thought flashed through Zheng Tao's mind, and he rushed over without thinking too much. The laser sword in his hand pierced out like lightning, accurately piercing the alien's body through the gap in the broken mecha. The alien punched madly, but after only 2 punches, he ran out of strength, his neck twisted, and he died. 3 Zhou Yangs quickly appeared beside Zheng Tao. "Well done, Zheng Tao," the leading Zhou Yang said. Zheng Tao took a look at the fallen alien bodies and said, "Captain, I feel that these aliens seem to be unsuited to the environment of our Earth. This may be their weakness. As long as we break their mechas, it will be much easier to kill them." "Oh." The captain was slightly surprised and said, "Upload your battle record to the server and hand it over to the server for identification." Zheng Tao nodded and asked, "Captain, there are 2 more aliens. Do you want us to help?" The captain shook his head and said, "No, the 2 aliens have been dealt with. Let's go down to help." The highway below was in a mess. The previous battle caused huge damage. Many vehicles overturned, and a large number of people were injured. With the power of Zhou Yang, it can fully play the role of a rescue machine. "Zheng Tao, your mecha is damaged. Send the alien's body back to the base and repair the mecha by the way." The captain gave an instruction, and fell to the ground with 2 team members. Zheng Tao did not hesitate and came to the alien's body. Through the damaged position, you can see that the alien's skin is blue, and even the blood flowing from the wound is blue. Zheng Tao grabbed the body and quickly went to the base. 2 of the 3 mechas landed in relatively sparsely populated areas, while 1 landed directly in the center of a town, causing huge casualties. This incident could not be concealed, and quickly spread throughout the world. Many people only then knew that aliens had come again, and had fought a war with the Earth. City. The rapid knock on the door woke Lin Zio up. After taking off the virtual helmet, the knock on the door became clearer. Lin Zhao did not stand up, and he could not stand up. His two legs were lying on the bed like noodles, forming a sharp contrast with his flexible upper body. This was a 20 square meter room with little furniture in the room, only a bed and a table. Lin Zhao moved his upper body with great effort, approached the door, and opened it. With a bang, the door was pushed open. A young man ran in, and saw Lin Zhao on the bed. He said, "Damn, I thought you were dead." Lin Zhao rolled his eyes. The person who came was his only friend Zhou Yang. He said, "You are dead. Why are you looking for me?" Zhou Yang said, "You are really good. You play games every day. Aren't you afraid of tiring yourself to death? Aliens are coming and attacking you. I'm afraid that you will die at home and no one will take care of you, so I came to see you." "Damn, didn't your community notify you to evacuate?" Lin Zhao was stunned and said, "Aliens are coming. When did it happen?" As he said that, he couldn't help but look out the window. It was still fine outside. It wasn't the end of the world. Zhou Yang said, "It was half an hour ago." Anyway, a group message was sent to evacuate. As he was talking, Zhou Yang's mobile phone vibrated. He took it out and saw that it was a message sent by the official group. "The alarm has been lifted. Please do not speculate. Stay at home and do not act rashly. Everything is subject to the official announcement." Zhou Yang read it once and said depressedly, "Damn, it's over now. This alien is not good. I'm ready to fight with aliens." Lin Zhao also breathed a sigh of relief and said speechlessly, "Come on, fight with aliens. Can you do it? You are asking, you must be able to do it." Zhou Yang shouted. Closing the door, Zhou Yang sat down at the head of the bed, looking at the virtual helmet he had just taken off, and asked, "How is it? Have you made money playing games during this period of time?" Lin Zhao smiled and said, "Soon." He looked at his legs. He had almost saved enough money to treat his legs. When the money was enough, he could stand up again. Zhou Yang sighed and said, "What a pity, you said you should have endured it at that time. Don't you know that it is difficult to offend villains?" Lin Zhao shook his head and said nothing. He used to be an esports player. With the popularity of the virtual world, esports games have become extremely prosperous. There are numerous esports teams of all sizes, and Lin Zhao is one of them. However, he did not achieve any results. Moreover, because he did not want to play a fake match, he had a falling out with a club manager. The club manager was also ruthless. He took out the contract signed that year and asked Lin Zhao to pay 1 million yuan, otherwise he would continue to perform the contract. Lin Zhao knew what would happen if he stayed in the team after the falling out. He gritted his teeth, borrowed some money from Zhou Yang, and added his savings from playing esports for several years to pay the penalty. He was almost left with nothing. After several years of esports career, he had nothing saved. Seeing Lin Zhao's expression was not right, Zhou Yang shook his head and said, "Forget it, let's not talk about the past. By the way, I heard you say before that you were going to play the National Star Battlefield. How is it going? Have you reached the ladder? It is said on the internet that this game is officially prepared to select carrier-based aircraft pilots. Those who reach the ladder may become pilots. I don't know if it is true or not. Damn, I just have bad skills. Otherwise, I would work hard to become a carrier-based aircraft pilot and fight aliens." Lin Zhao smiled mysteriously and said, "I have already reached the ladder." "What?" Zhou Yang screamed. "Is it true or not? Zhou Yang's promotion has attracted more than 2 billion people around the world to play this game, and the ladder only records the top 100 players. It is hard to imagine how difficult it is to stand out from 2 billion players and become the top 100. Lin Zhao smiled and said, "Really? I just reached it yesterday. Awesome." Zhou Yang gave a thumbs up. Lin Zhao said, "I don't know why. When I was playing esports before, I always felt that my level was stuck and I couldn't improve. But playing this interstellar battlefield, it's different. It seems that I'm more comfortable with it. It didn't take long for me to rush to the top. Damn, this shows that you have talent. Maybe you can really become a carrier-based aircraft pilot." Zhou Yang said excitedly. The first batch of carrier-based aircraft pilots in the world. Man, you are awesome. Lin Zhao shook his head and said, it's not that easy. Mr. Zhao's original words were that he would select some people from those who reach the top to become pilots. Did you notice that when selecting some people, not all of them will become pilots? Chapter 406 Recruitment Order. Zhou Yang said, we'll talk about whether it will work or not later. But you're awesome for being able to get on the ladder. I heard that many esports teams are recruiting players from the National Star Battlefield. If you can get on the ladder, you can definitely be a main player if you run over there. Speaking of esports teams, Lin Zhao's expression became a little ugly. He shook his head and said, forget it. I will never join an esports team again. I just want to make a lot of money now, cure my leg, and then pay you back. Zhou Yang waved his hand and said, my money is not urgent. You can pay it back anytime. Lin Zhao smiled with emotion. At this moment, someone suddenly knocked on the door. Who is it? Zhou Yang muttered, and got up, and opened the door. Outside the door, stood a man. He was wearing a black suit, had an ordinary appearance, and was a middle-aged man. Who are you? Zhou Yang asked. Lin Zhao leaned over to take a look, but found that he didn't recognize him either, and said, did you come to the wrong door? The middle-aged man glanced at Lin Zhao and smiled. I don't think I've come to the wrong door. Your name is Lin Zhao, right? Lin Zhao nodded, and said curiously, do you know me? The middle-aged man walked in, and didn't sit down. There was not even a chair in the room. He took out a green ID from his arms, and handed it over, saying, hello, I'm a foreign affairs officer of the National Security Bureau. My name is Chen Yitong. National Security Bureau? Zhou Yang widened his eyes, looking at the middle-aged man in disbelief, then looked at Lin Zhao, and hurriedly said, brother, did you make a mistake? My brother is like this and can't move, but he hasn't done anything bad. Lin Zhao was also a little nervous. Anyone who encounters someone from the National Security Bureau coming to the door would feel terrified. Chen Yitong smiled and said, I think you misunderstood. I came here for something else. Then, he took out a document from his pocket and handed it over, saying with a serious expression, Comrade Lin Zhao, this is a conscription order. After the superior's inspection, they think you are suitable to be a carrier-based aircraft pilot of an interstellar battleship. If you are willing, sign this conscription order, then you will officially enter the Z country army sequence and become a reserve carrier-based aircraft pilot. Looking at the conscription order in front of him, stamped with a red seal and a steel stamp, and beginning with the Z country, Lin Zhao was stunned for a moment. Zhou Yang next to him was also stunned, holding his breath, not daring to breathe. After a long while, Lin Zhao came back to his senses and said, inspection, when did you inspect me? Chen Yitong said, you are ranked 86th in the ladder of the National Interstellar Battlefield. It's you. Lin Zhao nodded. Zhou Yang beside him also widened his eyes. He didn't expect that he would be selected as a carrier-based aircraft pilot after entering the ladder. Seeing that Lin Zhao was still a little dazed, he hurriedly said, Lin Zhao, why are you dazed? Hurry up and sign. You will be a carrier-based aircraft pilot after signing. Damn, you are so awesome. The first batch of carrier-based aircraft pilots in the world. You can imagine how much attention they attract. Lin Zhao came back to his senses, took the conscription order, and read it carefully, before believing it was true. But I'm a cripple. Lin Zhao calmed down, and pointed at his legs. Chen Yitong took a look at Lin Zhao's legs. According to the information from the investigation, Lin Zhao's legs were caused by a car accident. The other driver drove drunk, and fled the scene, and then hit a big tree, and died on the spot. This resulted in no one to compensate Lin Zhao. Don't you know that there are no medical machines in the world? Chen Yitong said. I know, but Lin Zhao certainly knew about nanomedical machines, but the cost of treatment is not low. Chen Yitong interrupted Lin Zhao and said, don't worry, the country will take care of it. Lin Zhao was stunned. Zhou Yang next to him said, yes, you have become a carrier-based aircraft pilot. How can the country ignore your legs? Think about it. Fighter pilots were rare in the past, and their bodies were almost worth the same as their weight in gold. Now you are a carrier-based aircraft pilot, which is even rarer. Isn't your body comparable to diamonds? Your legs are worth at least tens of billions. How can the country not take good care of you? Lin Xiao came back to his senses, no longer hesitated, and said forcefully, I will sign. Chen Yiteng's expression returned to seriousness, and he said, Comrade Lin Xiao, I will ask you one last time. After signing this conscription order, your identity will no longer be an ordinary citizen, but a glorious soldier of country Z. When a war breaks out, you can no longer stay in the rear and enjoy protection, but you must rush to the front line and fight the enemy, even at the cost of your life. And I tell you, the war is very close to us. So I ask you to think carefully before deciding whether to sign this conscription order. If you think the time is too short, you can think about it for a few days. It doesn't matter. Lin Xiao's breathing became rapid. Zhou Yang beside him stopped talking. After a while, Lin Xiao's eyes became firm and he said, do you have a pen? Chen Yiteng didn't say much and directly handed over a pen. Lin Xiao didn't waste any words and solemnly signed his name on the conscription order. Congratulations. Chen Yiteng put away the conscription order and saluted. People like Lin Xiao may become real carrier-based aircraft pilots, rush to the front line of the war, and fight against aliens. In any case, they are heroes of mankind. Lin Xiao hurriedly returned a non-standard salute. I will be responsible for arranging your affairs. Chen Yiteng said. Lin Xiao nodded, hesitated for a moment, and asked again, by the way, can I ask, will all those who enter the ladder become carrier-based aircraft pilots? The ranking of the ladder has been changing all the time, and Zhou Yang said before that it would take a month, but it hasn't come yet. Chen Yiteng shook his head and said, no, the final challenge has nothing to do with the ladder ranking. Just because you are on the ladder doesn't mean you will be selected, and not being on the ladder doesn't mean you won't be selected. I don't know the specific screening rules. Lin Xiao suddenly realized. Zhou Yang next to him said, damn. Then Lin Xiao, you are even more awesome. You must have some special talent. Talent? Lin Xiao thought carefully. If there is any talent, then quick reaction and multitasking should be his talent. Next, Chen Yiteng immediately arranged for someone to treat Lin Xiao's legs. A day later, Lin Xiao's legs were successfully treated, and he stood up again. Then, under Chen Yiteng's arrangement, after a long journey, he came to a tightly sealed base. There were already many people in the base, more than 300 people, men and women, old and young, and some of them were active military personnel at first glance. Lin Xiao originally thought he was special, but after arriving at the base, he found that he was really not special. Here, there are so many geniuses, with photographic memories and super reactions. There are people who are responsible for training, physical fitness, professional skills, reaction ability, etc. This training took half a month. The number of people in the base has also successfully exceeded the 1000 mark. On this day, the emergency assembly whistle blew and everyone gathered in the playground. Lin Xiao saw a young man sitting on the rostrum at a glance. Zhou Yang. Not only Lin Xiao, many people at the scene were excited. No one expected that Zhou Yang would show up in person. Chapter 407 Carrier-Based Aircraft Comparison. On the rostrum, the head of the base, Colonel Zhou Yang, said, Mr. Zhao, let's get started. Zhou Yang nodded slightly. Zhou Yang knew that Zhou Yang was in a hurry, so he didn't waste any words. He picked up the microphone and said loudly, everyone, you have been training for half a month. Although I still want you to have more training time, we don't have more time. Today, we will conduct a test. The test is based on the results. The top 240 people will become real carrier-based aircraft pilots, and the rest will be transferred to the reserve and become the second batch of pilots. So don't have too much psychological burden and think that you will have nothing if you fail. There is no need. Everyone will have the opportunity to fly a carrier-based aircraft. It's just a matter of time. 70% of the 1000 people in front of them were selected from the military around the world, especially fighter pilots, and the remaining 30% were selected through the National Star Battlefield game. Those who can be selected are all talented people. How can they be wasted? After all, humans will not only build one Pangu class battleship, but will build more in the future, and the demand for carrier-based aircraft pilots will only grow. Zhou Yang said so, but the people present didn't think so. They were all selected, but they didn't become the first batch of pilots who would be willing to accept it. And Zhou Yang said that there would be a chance in the second batch, but who knows how long it will take. So for a while, everyone's fighting spirit seemed to be ignited. 1,000 people, 240 people were selected, and more than 3/4 were eliminated. In the crowd, a girl winked at Lin Xiao, who was a few steps away, and silently said, "Come on." Lin Xiao nodded shyly. The girl's name was Jinxie. She was the same age as Lin Xiao. She was also an ordinary person who was selected to come to the base. The two of them only met after they came to the base. Jinxie was also an esports player. Later, she lacked talent and turned to esports live broadcasting. The common hobby brought the two together quickly. Although they had not yet broken the last layer of window paper, their relationship was already very close. After Zhou Yang finished speaking, he looked at Zhou Yang again and asked, "Mr. Zhao, do you have anything else to say?" Zhou Yang nodded and put something on the table. It was a small holographic projector. After starting up, the holographic projector projected a blue figure. This was a tall figure estimated to be 1.8 meters tall, with blue skin and strong muscles. In terms of appearance, it can be said that it is exactly the same as a human, but specifically, it has some characteristics of the Central Asian race, with rough facial features, like a sturdy man. Many people at the scene exclaimed, but they quickly disappeared. After more than half a month of training, even ordinary people like Lin Xiao have some of the characteristics of a soldier who follows orders. Zhou Yang stood up, walked to the holographic projection, pointed at the blue figure and said, "This is your future enemy, the Desadians." The 3 black mechas were all destroyed, but the bodies were still preserved, so the physical characteristics of the Desadians can still be determined. Everyone's expression became a little solemn. Zhou Yang continued, "I'm a very practical person. I don't play tricks, nor do I say empty words. I can tell you that our enemies are very powerful, very powerful. They rule 5-star systems like the solar system, have tens of billions of people, have powerful interstellar fleets, and are extremely close to us." Many people's breathing became rapid. Ruling 5 solar systems and tens of billions of people, it is simply unimaginable how powerful this is. Zhou Yang continued, "Some people may ask, facing such a powerful enemy, will we win?" After a pause, Zhou Yang said in a deep voice, "I believe we will win, and we must win. If we lose, our civilization will disappear, and our cherished relatives will become slaves." You heard it right. In the highly developed space, there is actually slavery. In the collision between civilizations, the loser will either have their civilization completely destroyed, or all the people will become slaves and become tools for exploiting resources. Think about it. Do you want your relatives, friends, and yourself to become slaves? Everyone was angry and shook their heads vigorously. Zhou Yang shouted, "I can't hear you. Answer me loudly." "No." Everyone roared, as if there was a fire burning in their hearts. Zhou Yang said, "This is the collision between civilizations, a cruel reality, so we must win, and you will use carrier-based aircraft to rush to the front line to deal with the enemy's carrier-based aircraft." Zhou Yang waved his hand, and the holographic projection screen turned into Desatine's carrier-based aircraft. This is a carrier-based aircraft with a shuttle-shaped main structure, and the main body also extends several arms around. This is the enemy's carrier-based aircraft. According to the information we have collected, it uses a hybrid power of curvature engine and thruster, with a speed of 22,000 km per second. Here and here. Zhou Yang pointed to the 4 arms and the top of the main body, and said, "These 4 places are 4 sets of laser gun systems, like machine guns, with super high firing rates, and then the top of the main body has a large caliber laser cannon that can attack solid units such as battleships." All this information was collected and sorted out from the last war. Zhou Yang felt that it was necessary to let these pilots know what kind of enemies they would encounter. Everyone present listened very carefully. Zhou Yang continued, "At the same time, and most importantly, the enemy's carrier-based aircraft has an energy shield system, the strength of which is unknown. You can rest assured that our carrier-based aircraft will also have the same energy shield. After such a long period of research, the energy shield technology will definitely be completed before the Pangu class battleship is completed. After introducing the carrier-based aircraft of the Desatine civilization, Zhou Yang waved his hand, and the carrier-based aircraft designed from Dassault, France, appeared next to him. This carrier-based aircraft is not unfamiliar to everyone. Like Lin Zhao, he has driven it countless times in the national interstellar battlefield. This is the comparison of the carrier-based aircraft data of the enemy and us, Zhou Yang said. The projection lists the comparison of the length, width, speed and other data of both sides. It can be clearly seen that the size of the human carrier-based aircraft is smaller because it is a ball. In terms of speed, human carrier-based aircraft has a certain slight advantage, Zhou Yang said. Compared with the enemy's carrier-based aircraft, our carrier-based aircraft have an advantage in that they are more flexible because we have 8 propulsion systems. As long as you react quickly enough, you can make more exaggerated maneuvers. The carrier-based aircraft of the Desatine civilization are far less flexible than ours due to the limitations of their propulsion systems. Another point is that their firepower system is fixed forward and can only be adjusted at small angles, but our carrier-based aircraft can attack in a 360-degree circle and with stronger firepower. Or 360-degree circular attack is enough to illustrate the insanity of Dassault's design. Chapter 408 Test. Imagine that when you are chased by an enemy carrier-based aircraft, just like a fighter jet fighting, locking you and ready to launch missiles at any time, you suddenly launch an attack from the rear. At this time, the pilot of the enemy carrier-based aircraft must be cursing in his heart. Zhou Yang continued, this is the advantage of our carrier-based aircraft, a wider shooting angle, more powerful firepower, and a slight advantage in speed. But this does not mean that the enemy carrier-based aircraft is not good, because in the battle in space, there is also a concept of cluster combat. When a large number of carrier-based aircraft gather together and support each other, they can exert stronger combat effectiveness. Everyone listened very seriously. Many of them were fighter pilots, and of course they understood these concepts. Zhou Yang said, okay, I'm not a professional, and some words will make people laugh. Everything is still practical. Let's start testing. Zhou Yang nodded to Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang immediately began to make arrangements, and led the team to the training building next to the playground. The training building has been modified and installed with 6 sets of special simulation cabins. This simulation cabin was developed by Northern Industry in conjunction with multiple project teams. The whole is a large sphere with holographic projection inside to simulate the real combat environment. At the same time, the sphere is divided into 2 layers. The outer sphere can rotate at high speed and imitate weightlessness and gravity overload as much as possible. In short, this simulation system is designed to simulate the combat of carrier-based aircraft in space to the greatest extent. In the future, this system will also be fully produced, and it will carry out daily simulation training of carrier-based aircraft like the simulation cabin of fighter jets. This time the test is to simulate actual combat and simulate a more extreme environment. Participants will drive a human carrier-based aircraft in space, first facing a Desatine carrier-based aircraft. Desatine's carrier-based aircraft will be controlled by artificial intelligence, and its combat power is definitely not weak. First, there is 1. If you destroy the opponent, the difficulty will be upgraded, 1 against 2, and then challenge all the way. The time to destroy the enemy and the final number of shots will become the weighing criteria for the final score. The rules were announced, and everyone present was talking about it. 1 against 1 is not easy, and we have to fight 2 against 2, or even 3 against 1. Yes, this is different from the simulated war we had in the national interstellar battlefield before. The opponents there were of different strengths. Now we are facing artificial intelligence, which can maximize the combat effectiveness of carrier-based aircraft. It may not be easy to win. Winning is only secondary. We have to win beautifully and well, and get a high ranking, otherwise we can't enter the first batch. Jinzi quietly approached Lin Zhao. Lin Zhao's face turned slightly red, and he secretly looked around before whispering, this assessment is very difficult. Jinzi said, it's normal that it's difficult. After all, you are a carrier-based aircraft pilot, and you must be the best of the best. During our training, your results have always been at the top, so there should be no problem. I can't do it, I'm in the middle. but this time I will definitely work hard and strive for extraordinary performance. Jinzi encouraged himself again. Lin Xiao sighed lightly and said, I believe you will definitely enter the first batch. Jinzi nodded vigorously and said, then let's work hard together. The team in front began to form a team, and Jinzi also stood back quickly. Lin Xiao looked at Jinzi's back, but in his heart he hoped that Jinzi would be eliminated. Zhou Yang had said that the enemy this time would be extremely powerful, so it was conceivable how dangerous it would be for the carrier-based aircraft pilot. Lin Xiao felt that he had a responsibility to protect Jinzi. Thinking randomly, he began to test one after another. Zhou Yang did not wait for the results here and gave Zhu Jinyang a few more instructions before leaving by helicopter. In front of the training building, a few minutes later, the first batch of testers came out one after another. Each of them had a serious expression. How was it? Was it difficult? Someone asked. Difficult? Don't worry, it's very simple. Yes, it's extremely easy. I easily destroyed several carrier-based aircraft. The first batch of testers looked relaxed. Everyone was speechless, with expressions on their faces that said, do you think we believe it? Lin Xiao also became nervous. Judging from the reactions of the first batch of testers, the difficulty of the test should not be low. More than an hour later, it was finally Lin Xiao's turn. Lin Xiao took a deep breath and entered the simulation chamber with the same group of people. Sit down in the simulation cabin, fasten your seatbelt, and the system starts up with a countdown. There is no joystick in front of you, and you still operated by brainwave access. Student number 00148, name Lin Xiao, your identity has been confirmed. The system is ready. Please ask if you want to start the test. The system prompt sound came from my ear. Lin Xiao nodded vigorously and said, let's start. The light flashed, and the holographic projection spread. Lin Xiao looked again, and found that he was already in the vast universe. The cockpit in front of him was also extremely real. The next moment, a sharp alarm sounded, detecting the approach of an enemy fighter. Lin Xiao didn't have time to panic, and immediately started to operate, and the feedback data of the detection system appeared in front of him. The eyepiece couldn't see it yet. According to the display, an enemy carrier-based aircraft was approaching at high speed 200,000 kilometers away. The next moment, the enemy had already opened fire 200,000 kilometers. For laser weapons, a distance of less than 1 second can reach the target. However, Lin Xiao's training results can be among the best, and it is not a lie. He has experienced related situations countless times in the game of the National Star Battlefield. At the same time as the target was discovered, Lin Xiao had already controlled the carrier-based aircraft to make irregular movements in a small range. Large-scale movements are suitable for transfer and escape, while small-scale movements can improve the evasion efficiency of laser beam weapons, because the laser beam weapons on carrier-based aircraft have limited efficiency. Although the laser beam can be fired very far, the laser beam itself is not very thick. That is, the effective killing range is very small. In simple terms, it is a beam of light. Moreover, once the laser beam is fired, the attack direction is fixed, so as long as a small range, such as irregular movements within a few hundred meters, can be effectively avoided. At the same time, doing so also has another effect, which is to quickly counterattack. Large-scale movement, at high speed, will make it more difficult to aim. However, small-scale movement, due to the long distance, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of kilometers, so the aiming angles will almost overlap, which is more conducive to the control of the fire control system. In less than a second, a laser beam passed by the carrier-based aircraft 30 meters away. This distance is really a millimeter away from a direct hit. Lin Xiao also broke out in a cold sweat. The more realistic physical feedback brought by the simulation chamber made his adrenaline surge. The next moment, Lin Xiao also launched an attack. 8 weapon systems all opened fire. This kind of carrier-based aircraft is all about firepower coverage. Chapter 409, A Tactic of Mutual Destruction. The detection system locks, the fire control system aims, and 8 laser cannons fire at the same time. 8 laser beams shoot out and shoot at the enemy carrier-based aircraft. Shooting is completed in an instant, which requires finding a good balance point, because in space, tens of thousands of kilometers apart. A little instability will be like shaking your hand at the last moment of shooting, and the bullet doesn't know where to go. This is reality. The laser beam shoots in a straight line, and there is no such thing as a flick sniper. Although the weapon system can rotate 360 degrees and is equipped with a gyroscope for stability, the adjustment of the gyroscope also takes time. Although it is very short, it also takes time. Therefore, it is necessary to fire in the most stable state possible to achieve the most ideal shooting effect. The whole process is simple to say, but it is extremely difficult to control. Because the carrier-based aircraft travels at an extremely fast speed, it is too difficult to find a stable state in an instant. So this thing really requires talent. As the saying goes, it is not difficult for those who know, but it is difficult for those who don't. In this regard, Lin Zhao has a good talent, and his performance in training has always been at the forefront. After the shooting was completed, Lin Zhao did not care about the result of the shooting and quickly began to close the distance. In the battle in space, due to the characteristics of laser beam weapons, the distance becomes a double-edged sword. If it is too close, the bayonet will be bloody, and the driver's reaction speed is too short. It is possible that the enemy's attack will arrive at the same time as you attack the enemy. If it is too far, the shooting time and the expansion of the angle will cause the hit rate to drop sharply, which is more suitable for wandering. Now, the energy shield is 100% efficient, and Lin Zhao also believes in his own skills, so he chooses to approach actively. Less than a second later, the feedback system shows that 8 laser beams hit 3. This hit rate is already good. Lin Zhao was not too happy. In the process of rapid approach, a small scale turn will be made. Such a turn will put extremely high demands on the strength of the carrier-based aircraft. It is possible that the strength is not enough and the carrier-based aircraft will disintegrate directly. But this is in a war. Who will consider the damage of the carrier-based aircraft? Naturally, they will fight with all their strength to maximize the performance of the carrier-based aircraft. Damage. Consider it if you can survive. The advantage of doing this is that there will be a moment of stability at the moment when the carrier-based aircraft turns. At this point in time, it is possible to open fire. The charging time of the 8 laser cannons is 1 second. During this time, Lin Zhao will accurately get stuck at the turning point and launch a round of salvos. The attack of the opponent's carrier-based aircraft has not stopped. With a bang, the carrier-based aircraft shook violently, and a laser beam hit Lin Zhao. The efficiency of the energy shield dropped by 18%, which is not a big problem. Lin Zhao believes that the efficiency of the opponent's energy shield has dropped more than his own. In just 3 or 4 seconds, the 2 carrier-based aircraft have each launched 3 rounds of attacks, and the distance between them is only about 60,000 kilometers. Lin Zhao is closing the distance, and the opponent is also closing the distance. At this time, dense laser beam bullets shot over, like a barrage of bullets, and it did not stop at all. In addition to the 4 laser cannons, the opponent also has a laser gun with a very high firing rate. After closing the distance, the laser gun can exert the maximum attack efficiency. Although the power is limited, it has a high attack frequency and rapid attack, which can also effectively consume the defensive efficiency of the energy shield. I'm defending you. Lin Zhao snorted coldly, began to slow down, and rolled. The laser gun is an attack in the form of a barrage, just like the aircraft cannon of a fighter jet. Through rolling, it can be effectively evaded. At the same time, at high speed, the opponent's shooting field of vision will disappear rapidly. After just 2 seconds, the 2 carrier-based aircraft almost passed by each other. At the moment of passing by the opponent, Lin Zhao opened fire. The 8 laser cannons had already adjusted their positions and aimed at the rear. When the enemy carrier-based aircraft appeared in the rear, the 8 laser cannons fired at the same time, and the 8 laser beams instantly hit the opponent at a very close distance. With a bang, the energy shield of the enemy carrier-based aircraft was broken. The energy shield was broken, and the enemy carrier-based aircraft quickly began to flee. At this time, Lin Zhao was no longer panicking. The carrier-based aircraft without energy shields was a lamb to be slaughtered, and was soon destroyed by Lin Zhao. Congratulations, student Lin Zhao, you won. The system prompt sounded. Lin Zhao also excitedly waved his fist. What Lin Xiao didn't know was that every move they made during the test was watched in real time by Zhou Yang and other base leaders. 6 screens displayed the real-time situation of the 6 simulation chambers. Soon someone noticed Lin Xiao's actions. What is this kid doing? Actively approaching. Someone was surprised. The people in the other 5 simulation chambers were all pulling away and shooting from a distance. Lin Xiao's behavior could be said to be the opposite. He approached the enemy aircraft at a high speed. This posture was as if he would perish together with the enemy aircraft. Zhou Yang also frowned slightly and then saw 2 carrier-based aircraft passing each other, and then Lin Xiao instantly opened fire and knocked down the energy shield of the enemy aircraft. Zhou Yang was slightly startled and smiled. This guy is quite interesting. Others also responded and said, did this guy come up with this set of tactics by himself? If so, he is very smart. And you can see that he did a good job in stabilizing the fuselage and catching the opportunity to fire in the previous battle. Several people did not find Lin Xiao's combat method too strange. In fact, this combat method has been simulated by the Artificial Intelligence program. A long time ago, Artificial Intelligence conducted a large number of simulations based on the performance of the carrier-based aircraft of both sides, and it used many combat methods. Among them, the most efficient one is this kind of attack method similar to mutual destruction. It takes advantage of the defect that the carrier-based aircraft weapon system can rotate 360 degrees, while the enemy carrier-based aircraft can only shoot forward at a fixed angle, which can effectively improve the hit rate and destroy the enemy's energy shield. However, these tactics have not been opened yet because they are the content of the next stage of training. Now Lin Xiao can think of this method in advance, which shows his intelligence. It's very fast. Zhou Yang nodded. In less than 10 seconds, Lin Xiao had destroyed the enemy aircraft. This kind of tactics, approaching at high speed, is also very risky because when the distance is close, the enemy's laser gun is still a great threat to the carrier-based aircraft. But the risk comes with huge benefits. Otherwise, it is not an easy task to destroy the enemy fighter in 10 seconds. Zhou Yang took a look at the rankings. Among the results of destroying an enemy aircraft, Lin Xiao's time ranked 5th. This is already a very good result, but it is not the best. There were people who completed the same tactics before and even used other tactics to achieve better results. Chapter 410 Main mission completed. On the big screen, Lin Xiao continued to challenge. Facing 2 Deserdine carrier-based aircraft, he adopted the same tactics, taking risks to approach and catch the opponent off guard. With this tactic, he successfully killed a Deserdine carrier-based aircraft, but the energy shield was also knocked down by more than 70%, leaving less than 30%. If the same tactics were used, it would definitely be blown up first. Lin Xiao had no choice but to change his tactics and adopt a roaming strategy to fight, seize the stable point to launch, and with a high hit rate, he successfully shot down the second carrier-based aircraft. It took 7 minutes to complete the feat of 1 against 2. There was no time to rest, and he entered the next stage of the challenge, 1 against 3. Facing 3 carrier-based aircraft, Lin Xiao's firepower advantage in driving the carrier-based aircraft was completely lost. From the beginning, he was suppressed by the opponent's firepower and had no power to fight back. In the monitoring center, Zhou Yang sighed lightly, and Lin Xiao's performance stopped there. 1 against 2, more than a dozen people have done it, but 1 against 3, no one has been able to do it. 2 fists cannot defeat 4 hands, and this is no joke. Sure enough, Lin Xiao on the screen had been shot down by the enemy plane. However, Lin Xiao's performance was already among the best. Zhou Yang estimated that it should not be a problem for him to enter the final list of 240 people. Lin Xiao didn't know that someone was watching him. He failed to challenge 3 fighters and was full of regret. After walking out of the training building, Jinzi came up to him quickly and asked, "How is the result?" Lin Xiao smiled bitterly and shook his head, saying, "It shouldn't be too good. As for the difficulty of the challenge, it cannot be disclosed according to the rules." Jinzi didn't ask and gritted his teeth and said, "It's okay. Anyway, my level is not good. Mr. Zhou said that we can still be the second batch of carrier-based aircraft pilots. Then we will be together. Lin Zhao nodded and said no more. The assessment lasted for a whole day before it ended. The next morning, everyone changed into casual clothes and gathered in the auditorium. Zhou Yang was present and said loudly, "I think many people should be concerned about the results of yesterday's test. Those who passed should not be proud. We should have half a month of training time, so we will implement the last place elimination system next. If anyone thinks that he can wait to get on the plane after passing the test, then he is overthinking. If he is not serious in the next training, he may be eliminated at any time. Those who did not pass should not be discouraged. Everyone still has a chance. Train harder and improve your skills. You can also enter the first batch of pilots. Okay, the next person whose name is called, stand up, then go back to the dormitory to pack up and go to the new base next door for adaptive training." Zhou Yang did not waste words and started reading the list directly. NIUU. Thin young man stood up, saluted Zhou Yang, and walked out of the auditorium quickly. The people around him did not have too many jealous expressions. NIUU was a fighter pilot who had flown J-20 and had won a golden helmet. In the early training, all his skills were top-notch. NIUU won the first place with his real ability. Zhou Yang started reading the names one by one. Soon, when there were about 50 or 60 names, Lin Zhao's name came out. Lin Zhao was stunned. He never thought that he would be selected. The teammate on the left poked Lin Zhao, and Lin Zhao reacted. He quickly stood up and saluted, then walked out. After taking 2 steps, Lin Zhao suddenly remembered something and quickly turned his head and looked at Jinxie not far away. They were going to the next base, and they would be separated from Jinxie in the future. Lin Zhao was inexplicably reluctant. Jinxie smiled with relief and silently said, "Come on." Lin Zhao nodded vigorously and walked out of the auditorium quickly. In the new base, Lin Zhao finally did not wait for Jinxie to arrive. Although he felt sorry for this result, he was inexplicably relieved. Jinxie staying behind might be the best choice. Time flies, and it is November. The carrier-based aircraft was successfully launched. In order to meet the design requirements, the efforts made were not small. Apart from other things, it took a long time to develop a 360-degree rotation, which can rotate in milliseconds, and maintain a stable control system. This carrier-based aircraft was finally named Kuofu, which means the spirit of never giving up. At this point, many puzzles of the Pangu-class battleship have been completed one by one, leaving only the last piece, the energy shield, which is also the most difficult to conquer. The time came to mid-December. With the efforts of countless researchers, the energy shield was finally completed and offline. At the test site, after the huge energy generator was started, a huge light curtain unfolded, covering a range of more than 5,000 meters. "Attack!" Zhou Yang ordered. Immediately, many laser cannons and soldiers holding laser guns fired at the energy shield. The laser beam bombarded the energy shield, and the energy shield was rippled. And the relevant data was also fed back immediately. The efficiency of the energy shield continued to decline, but the decline was very slow, and now it is only a quantile decline. After all, the energy levels are different. The energy consumed by supporting this energy shield is enough to supply a small city for a day. The attack lasted for 46 minutes before the energy shield was broken. It takes at least 10 minutes to restart and recharge. So once the energy shield is broken, the entire battleship will be in an undefended state, and it is only a matter of time before it is destroyed. However, the current energy shield has completely met the design requirements of the Pangu-class battleship. Install it as soon as possible. Zhou Yang said. By the way, how is the Taihang mountain? When can it be completed at the earliest? Zhou Yang asked Li Xiao again. Li Xiao hurriedly said, the 6 ships under construction are on the same pace. At the fastest, they can be completed by the end of January. At the same time, the 5 ships planned to be built are also intensively building the keel. At the fastest, it may be the end of March. While developing and building, 6 ships were built at the same time, and there are 5 more planned, a total of 12 ships. This is the first space fleet built by mankind with all its efforts. Zhou Yang did not say much. He believed that all the construction personnel had done their best to build it. Now, Zhou Yang is most concerned about the completion of the battleship. Once completed, the main task of the system will be completed. At that time, the space jump technology will be rewarded. This technology is also the one that Zhou Yang cares about the most. 3 days later, the energy shield device was successfully installed at the predetermined location. This Pangu class battleship has been completed. Congratulations to the host for completing the main task and building a planetary spaceship. Reward space jump technology. Related technical information is being distributed. The main task is started. The appearance of the spaceship, with the help of space jump technology, is a sign of civilization moving towards deep space, completing a civilization colonization. Reward star utilization system, Dyson Sphere. Chapter 411 Alliance Plan. The system's prompts were not over yet. Congratulations to the host for triggering a random mission, facing an unknown civilization threat, completing the first battle of the interstellar battleship, and successfully repelling the enemy. Reward, technical data of the superweapon interstellar destroyer. Zhou Yang couldn't help but close his eyes, his heart surging. This time, the main task was too difficult to complete. Only Zhou Yang himself knew how hard it was. Now, it was finally completed, and a nerve that had been tense in Zhou Yang's mind finally relaxed. Zhou Yang fainted with a black screen in front of his eyes. At the assembly site, tens of thousands of assemblers and thousands of scientific researchers were all cheering, roaring, and venting their inner excitement. Mr. Zhou, we succeeded. Li Ziyu excitedly turned his head to look at Zhou Yang, and suddenly found that Zhou Yang was slowly falling backwards, and fell on his back. Mr. Zhou, Li Ziyu was so scared that his soul flew away, and he rushed up quickly. Doctor, where is the doctor? Li Ziyu shouted. The people around him also found that Zhou Yang had fallen to the ground, and they were shocked and surrounded him. Zhou Yang fell. This news spread to the top leaders of mankind at the first time. Many people almost fainted when they heard the news. Many people rushed to the institute to check on Zhou Yang's condition. After examination, Zhou Yang was just too tired and fell asleep. This result made many people feel relieved. Mr. Zhou has been too busy during this period. Yes, Mr. Zhou is almost carrying our technology forward alone. The pressure and difficulties he has endured are beyond our imagination. Everyone was inexplicably moved. The Pangu class battleship was completed, but Zhou Yang fell down. It has to be said that this good news was overshadowed. 2 days later, Zhou Yang slowly opened his eyes. Looking around, Zhou Yang found himself lying in a white ward. He felt his body and did not feel too uncomfortable. Zhou Yang sat up, and a light suddenly appeared. It was Fuxi, who said excitedly, "Sir, you finally woke up." Zhou Yang nodded and asked in a daze, "Did I faint? How long has it been?" Fuxi said, "You fainted because you were overworked. You slept for 2 days. From July to now, nearly half a year. How busy and tired Zhou Yang is. Fuxi knows it best. It is no exaggeration to say that Zhou Yang sleeps no more than 5 hours a day. If it is just a lack of sleep, it would be fine. The key is that Zhou Yang has to worry about countless things every day and work hard to overcome countless technical problems." At this time, the door opened, and Li Ziyu walked in. Seeing Zhou Yang sitting up, he widened his eyes and said in surprise, "Mr. Zhou, you finally woke up." Zhou Yang nodded and said, "Thank you for your help." Li Ziyu was very excited and said quickly, "I'll go and notify people. If they know you're awake, they will be very happy." Zhou Yang waved his hand and stopped Li Ziyu, saying, "It's not too late to notify them later. Arrange a car. I want to go home. It's been a long time since I went home." Li Ziyu was stunned and went quickly. Zhou Yang stood up and slowly put on his clothes, saying, "Now that the battleships are completed, the next task is to complete the construction of the scheduled 12 battleships as soon as possible. At the same time, we will continue with the previous idea and build a military base on Mars to station at least 3 Pangu class battleships. At the same time, we can also build a large number of laser cannon units on the moon or in the Earth-Moon synchronous orbit to build a complete defense system around the Earth. The previous laser cannon base was built in vain because it had no defense and could be destroyed by any random attack. but now it is different. With the energy shield, it can at least resist for a period of time and give full play to the firepower advantage. The specific plan will be handed over to the military command center. We are fighting a positional defense war. We just need to do everything possible to defend. Since it is a defensive war, the detection system must also be well done. Our current deep space detection system can detect a distance of 0.5 light years, and the gravity zone is 2 light years away. At this distance, it is difficult to deploy more deep space detection systems to expand the detection range. There is not enough time, so forget it. In this way, more data is required to detect enemy targets more accurately. Some real-time observation systems can be built at the borders of Uranus and Pluto to ensure that the enemy is discovered and responded to in the first time. The deep space detection system, like radar, can detect and lock on moving targets. The solar system is full of rotating planets and satellites, and there are a large number of asteroids flying around. If you want to eliminate these messy targets first, you must first build a huge database, mark the messy targets, and then remove them. That's all for now. I'll talk about it when I think of it, Zhou Yang said. Fuxi smiled bitterly and said, Mr. Zhou, it's already this time, you should take a good rest for a while. Zhou Yang also put on his clothes and smiled bitterly. It's easy to say to take a rest for a while. Let's talk about it after we humans really have the power to protect ourselves. After a pause, Zhou Yang asked again, by the way, has there been any breakthrough in the research on that star core? Fuxi shook his head and said, there has not been any breakthrough yet, and no reasonable method has been found to extract the energy inside. Then take your time, no rush. There is no rush to use this thing for the time being, and in the next main task of the system, a technology called Dyson Sphere will be rewarded. What is a Dyson Sphere? Zhou Yang has heard of it. Simply put, it is a device that can wrap up a star like the sun, and then use the star's energy inexhaustibly. Such a device also means that the energy of the star system can be truly utilized. The level of civilization should have reached the second level civilization. So Zhou Yang is not in a hurry, and he will deal with this crisis first. By the way, I have another idea that I have been thinking about these days, Zhou Yang said. After a pause, Zhou Yang said, this war was initiated by the Oma civilization and the Decidin civilization. These two civilizations are both second level civilizations. The Oma civilization is at a disadvantage right now. Although it is a disadvantage, their strength should still be stronger than ours. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So is it possible to get in touch with the Oma civilization, form an offensive and defensive alliance, and unite their forces to fight against the Decidin civilization together? Doesn't Fokman's spaceship have a space jump device? Can we let Kurosawa, or Milin, as a representative, make a space jump back to the Oma civilization for negotiations? Of course, this matter has certain risks. Even the Oma civilization may be our enemy, so tell the emergency committee my idea and let them discuss it seriously before making a decision. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412 Dark Matter. The car slowly stopped. The familiar gate was half closed. Before the security guard opened the door, Zhou Yang had already opened the door and got out of the car. At this moment, a little girl ran out from the half-closed gate and saw Zhou Yang standing at the door at a glance. The two looked at each other, and the little girl was obviously stunned for a moment. After a while, the little girl excitedly shouted, "Dad, it's Dad." Shouting, she rushed up excitedly. Zhou Yang's nose was sore, and he hurried forward and hugged Zhao Tong. When he looked up again, he didn't know when a beautiful figure stood at the door. It was Chen Ruoyan, who was looking at him quietly, with tears in the corners of her eyes. "I'm back," Chen Ruoyan said softly. "Yeah." Zhou Yang nodded, gently grabbed Chen Ruoyan's hand, and said, "Let's go in." Once the door was closed, all the irritability and difficulties were locked outside the door. Inside the door was home, a harbor for the soul. 5 days passed in a flash, and Zhou Yang's spirit and energy recovered. Zhou Yang was a little happy that he didn't have to worry about his homeland anymore because he didn't have to deal with endless work as soon as he opened his eyes and didn't have to think about countless things in his mind. But on this morning, Chen Ruoyan started ironing Zhou Yang's clothes. "What are you doing?" Zhou Yang asked, puzzled. Chen Ruoyan sighed and said, "I'm packing your luggage." "Pack? I didn't say I was leaving," Zhou Yang said. Chen Ruoyan smiled and said, "Okay, I knew you were leaving when you started reading the information yesterday." Zhou Yang just remembered that he had nothing to do last night, so he sorted out the relevant technical information of space jump technology. Zhou Yang smiled bitterly and said, "I just looked at some information. I didn't say I was leaving." Chen Ruoyan said, "Okay, you are a busy man. I'm very happy to be back for a few days. So many people in the world are watching you and counting on you. I can't be too selfish, and I know that everything you are doing now is to protect me and Tang Tang." Zhou Yang's heart surged, and he hugged Chen Ruoyan from behind and said, "It will be soon. After this period of time, everything will be fine." Chen Ruoyan patted Zhou Yang's hand and smiled. "Okay, let's have breakfast." Zhou Yang nodded and said, "Don't pack for me. I don't plan to go back now. I have to stay for at least another week." As soon as he finished speaking, the phone rang suddenly. It was Zhao Tong who ran over with the phone and handed it to Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang looked at Chen Ruoyan with a smile. When he came back, he explained that there was no need to contact him if there was nothing important. So when the phone rang, it must be something important. "Look at what I do. Answer it. I'll go pack for you," Chen Ruoyan said. Zhou Yang nodded and answered the phone. "Mr. Zhao, it's inappropriate to call you at this time, but there is one thing I still want to discuss with you." The call was from Li Xianshu. "Go ahead, what's the matter?" Zhou Yang came to the yard and sat down. Li Xianshu said, "It's like this. After many discussions, we finally decided to implement the plan you proposed before, which was to contact the Oma civilization and form an alliance with the Oma civilization, because from the results, even if it fails, it won't have much impact on us. If it succeeds, we will have an additional ally and may get some support. If it fails, we still have to face the army of the Desert civilization." Li Xianshu continued, "Now we are preparing to implement this plan. Do you have anything else to say?" Zhou Yang thought seriously for a while and said, "I don't have much to say. There is only one goal, to form an alliance and let them send troops to help us defend the Earth or support our technology and weapons." "Okay," Li Xianshu said. Zhou Yang asked again, "What about the spaceship? Has it been repaired?" The spaceship of Forkman had been dismantled into pieces. Of course, Zhou Yang was reluctant to dismantle the most critical space jump device and kept it. Li Xianshu said, "It is already being repaired, and the progress is very fast. We should be able to set off in 7 days." "Okay." Zhou Yang hung up the phone and sent a message to Li Xiaoyu, asking her to notify the heads of the major project teams to hold a meeting on time at 2 p.m. Then, Zhou Yang notified the security personnel and asked them to arrange a car. Although Zhou Yang could rest all the time and no one dared to say anything, Zhou Yang could not. He had to continue working and researching. He played with Zhao Tong for half a day, had lunch at noon, and waited for Zhao Tong to fall asleep before Zhou Yang said goodbye to Chen Ruoyan and rushed back to the institute by car. In the large conference room, all 22 major scientific researchers were in place. When they saw Zhou Yang appear, they asked about his health. "After a few days of rest, I feel much better and refreshed. After this period of time is over, I will give you a holiday, a long holiday," Zhou Yang said. Everyone smiled knowingly. Zhou Yang said, "The completion of the Pangu class battleship marks the completion of a stage of our work. In the next work, in addition to continuing to improve the relevant technologies of the Pangu class battleship, there is another major task." Zhou Yang pulled over a whiteboard and wrote the 4 big words space jump on it. Everyone's heart was shocked. The importance of space jump technology is self-evident. Zhou Yang said, "During this period of time, I have conducted a long-term study on space jump technology and preliminarily determined the technical route. The key is this." Zhou Yang wrote down 3 more words. Dark matter. The so-called dark matter was actually proposed by scientists a long time ago. It refers to the existence of a special substance in the universe Positive matter is the real world, or the real existences that constitute the universe, so dark matter is illusory. Why do scientists believe that it must exist? For example, the Earth revolves around the sun because of the gravity of the sun. The whole process is like an athlete spinning a hammer. Anyone who has watched a hammer throw competition should know that the faster the hammer turns, the more force the athlete needs to use to catch the hammer, to prevent it from being thrown out. By analogy with the Earth and the sun, astronomers have discovered that if the Earth is far away from the sun, the revolution speed does not slow down because of the longer gravitational distance. Just like throwing a hammer, if the chain is longer and it turns so fast, then the athlete should spend more force to catch the hammer, and the available force is still the same, which is very unreasonable. In summary, scientists have discovered that there is a huge difference between theoretical calculations and actual measurements. So who provides the extra gravity? Scientists speculate that there is a special substance in the universe that cannot be seen or observed, called dark matter. This is the origin of dark matter. The technical information Zhou Yang obtained directly revealed the basic principle of space jump. First of all, the existence of dark matter is confirmed. Secondly, because dark matter is a special substance that does not participate in electromagnetic effects, but participates in gravitational effects, it has a characteristic of directly passing through positive matter. And positive matter is our real universe. Chapter 413 Theory of Space Jump. We all know that according to speculation, dark matter does not participate in electromagnetic interaction, but participates in gravitational interaction, so it can pass through positive matter and achieve the possibility of passing through real space. There are several difficulties in this. The first difficulty is to discover dark matter and use it. In theory, dark matter does not exist in the real world. That is, you cannot see dark matter in the world you see subjectively. Since it cannot be seen, it certainly cannot be discovered, let alone used. Then we must first locate the existence of dark matter. Here, I want to propose the theory of four-dimensional space, or even multi-dimensional space. Zhou Yang said whatever he thought of, and then wrote some keywords on the whiteboard. Whether four-dimensional space exists was just a theory before, but now it is basically certain, because the difference in gravity causes the universe to be distorted in the fourth dimension, resulting in a different speed of time flow. Just like the gravity zone we are in, the passage of time is thousands or tens of thousands of times that of the outside world. Everyone nodded. They all knew about the gravity zone, and they also set up a project team to conduct special research, but they have not yet discovered the existence of the gravity zone. Maybe this thing is invisible to the naked eye. However, the emergence of the gravity zone does indirectly confirm the existence of the fourth dimension. Zhou Yang continued, I think there is a lot of dark matter in the fourth dimension. For example, when we make a space jump, we jump from one time dimension to another non-interfering time dimension. In this process, it is equivalent to traveling in the fourth dimension, and this space is full of dark matter. It is the collision of dark matter and positive matter that forms a stable space channel. This is the theoretical formula for the existence of dark matter after my research. It has an important relationship with gravity, and is also related to the volume of our positive matter. Zhou Yang quickly wrote a line of formulas on the whiteboard. The significance of the existence of formulas is to explain and describe the theory. Without formulas, all theories are castles in the air. Everyone present was shocked. No one expected that Zhou Yang could even derive the relevant formulas. The formulas on the whiteboard are relatively complicated. Zhou Yang explained the meaning of each symbol one by one. Everyone didn't understand for the time being. This kind of theory must be confirmed after detailed experiments. However, Zhou Yang was able to describe the formula, which means that he really studied something useful. After confirming the dark matter, the next step is to capture it. The method is gravity. The change of gravity can resonate with the dark matter, so as to extract the dark matter. I designed a rough research plan and marked our technical route. The technology here should be easy to break through, because we have successfully imitated the gravitational traction instrument, and have made preliminary research and application of gravity. I will send you the information later. No one asked Zhou Yang how he came up with it, and they had already begun to consider practical applications. Anyway, Zhou Yang determined the direction, and they just followed the research. Such research is better than their aimless and random research. After we discover and capture dark matter, the most important thing next is to use the collision of dark matter and positive matter to open the space channel and form a stable space channel. This process requires huge energy consumption, and we can also refer to the space jump equipment we got. Zhou Yang drew the structural diagram of the space jump instrument from the Zilina civilization on the whiteboard. We can see that its base is directly related to the power system, which means that a large amount of energy input is required. Then there are these two spherical structures. You can see the obvious difference, one black and one white. Can we understand it this way? The white spherical structure captures positive matter, while the black spherical structure captures dark matter. The positive white spherical structure rotates around the center point like an electron, forming a stable structure. The collision of the two substances produces a space channel. Everyone's eyes lit up. If they followed Zhou Yang's speculation, the structure of this space jump device would be much easier to understand. We can also design it according to this structure and complete our own space jump device. Zhou Yang put down his pen and said, now the design of the Pangu class battleship has been completed, so we have to mobilize all our scientific research forces to conquer the space jump device. The specific project team arrangements will be discussed in the meeting at that time. Okay, today's meeting ends here. Whoever has any ideas can say it now. After discussing with everyone for several hours, Zhou Yang ended the meeting. Next, Zhou Yang focused all his work on the research and development of the space jump device. After many meetings and discussions, the project team was also determined, and then each project team also carried out research according to the predetermined plan. The Pangu class battleships and Kuafu carrier-based aircraft were also being produced at a rapid pace. All global resources were mobilized to frantically produce weapons and equipment. Global preparations for war were just that. Kurosawa and Milan also set off on the repaired battleships to the Oma civilization. It was unknown when the danger would come, but it was always right to be prepared in advance. Time passed in a flash, and a month had passed. In early February, it was the Lunar New Year. Zhou Yang also gave all the researchers a holiday, and he went home to reunite with his family. On New Year's Eve, the family was cooking, and Zhou Yang also helped. Ligiz, he muttered as she picked vegetables. This year's vegetable prices are so expensive, more than twice as expensive as last year. Chen Royan glanced at Zhou Yang and said, it's normal. Didn't you see it on TV? It's normal for resources to be a little more expensive because of unified allocation. Ligiz shook her head and said, how can it be normal? What unified allocation you are talking about is a planned economy. Since it is a planned economy, shouldn't the prices of commodities be controlled by the state? So it should be cheaper. Chen Royan said with a smile. Mom, how do you suddenly know so much? Ligiz said proudly, I have nothing to do at home, so I always watch TV. Zhou Yang stood up and said, Mom, you are right. This year's vegetable prices are indeed abnormal. Resources are uniformly allocated, and a large number of robots are used to improve production efficiency and increase supply, but the price has not dropped. This shows that there is still a problem with control. So, I'll make a phone call to ask. Zhou Yang called Zhao Tong and asked Zhao Tong to bring his mobile phone over, then turned it on and called Fuchsie. Sir. Fuchsie's voice sounded. Is there something wrong with the price control of commodities at the end of the year? Zhou Yang asked. Ligiz beside him was stunned. She didn't expect that Zhou Yang would treat her casual remark as a national event. Chapter 414, Benefits. Fuchsie was silent for a moment, probably checking the data. Yes, sir, the price of goods has indeed risen a lot, which is abnormal. Fuchsie said. Oh, what do you think is a reason? Zhou Yang asked while cutting potatoes. Ligiz was dumbfounded, staring at Zhou Yang's mobile phone, with a face full of question marks, not knowing who Zhou Yang was talking to. Fuchsie said, my analysis is that since July, global resources have been uniformly allocated. Since we have used a large number of industrial robots, production efficiency has been greatly improved, and goods have been supplied in large quantities. However, due to the unified allocation, prices have continued to fall, causing a large number of merchants in related industries to go bankrupt. This can be seen from the data of merchants cancellation at the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. Zhou Yang nodded and said, in short, it is that low grain prices hurt farmers. Fuchsie said, that's right, but this is also something that cannot be avoided. The government has also introduced some policies to guide merchants to make changes, but the results have not been seen in a short period of time. Then what's the matter with the price increase at the end of the year? Zhou Yang asked again. Fuchsie said, some big merchants took advantage of the strong consumption at the end of the year to stockpile goods in advance and then raised prices in a way that was inflated. The management department was somewhat lagging behind and failing to fulfill its responsibilities due to the impact of global preparations for war. These two reasons led to this abnormal price increase, raising prices in a way that was inflated. Zhou Yang frowned, handed the shredded potatoes to Chen Ruoyan, and said in a deep voice, in special times, especially at this critical juncture, any uneasy factors that are not conducive to social stability are intolerable. In my name, report the relevant situation to the functional departments, and give me serious handling. In terms of public opinion, there must also be intentional propaganda and guidance to avoid any panic. For areas where prices have already risen, materials must be allocated in a timely manner to stabilize prices. This year is a turbulent year, and many people have already had a hard time. There is no need to increase their burden. Fuchsie said, I understand, sir. Li Gizhi and Chen Ruoyan were stunned. They watched Zhou Yang chopping vegetables in a plaid apron. They subconsciously ignored the fact that Zhou Yang was a member of the emergency committee and one of the 8 most powerful people in the world. Zhou Yang's words and deeds could affect the entire human world. By the way, Zhou Yang said again, before the celebration party, there will be a congratulatory speech. Shouldn't I wish everyone in the world a happy new year? The appearance of aliens completely disrupted the development trajectory of the Earth. Many technologies were not deeply developed at all. They were hastily launched before they had time to change the world, causing a large number of social problems. But this is something that can't be helped. Problems also have priorities. Self-protection must be solved first. In such an eventful time, it coincides with the Lunar New Year, so it must be celebrated properly. Celebrations were organized all over the world. Naturally, the annual Spring Festival Gala was held in China, but before the Spring Festival Gala, a link was added. That is, the 8 members of the emergency committee wished people all over the world a happy new year. Fuchsie, I plan to give some consumer vouchers to people all over the world as welfare. The amount cannot be too small. It would be boring if it is too small, and it would not be good if it is too large. Please help me calculate how much is appropriate. Fuchsie hesitated for a few seconds and said, how about 500 per person? Chen Ruoyan was surprised and said, there are 7 billion people in the world, and 500 per person, that is 3.5 trillion. Li Gizhi was even more shocked. She did not have an accurate concept of such a large amount of money. Zhou Yang thought for a while and said, okay, then 500. Okay, sir. Fuchsie was silent. It was 7:30, and Zhou Yang had finished his dinner. While there was still time, he played with Zhao Tong for a while, and then went to the study alone to prepare the New Year's greetings. Fuchsie had already sent a message about the distribution of consumer vouchers, and it was ready. Everyone could receive it online and buy some special daily necessities. The other people on the emergency committee also agreed to this plan. Chen Ruoyan and others were watching TV in the living room, while Zhao Tong, the little Tong Tong, was running around and playing with the big Tong Tong. At 7:45, the screen on TV suddenly changed, and the person in charge of Country Z appeared. Citizens of the whole country and compatriots all over the world, the new year is coming. Here, I extend my sincere New Year's greetings to everyone. The whole speech was also very short, just 2 minutes, and there was no substantive content, just some nice words. Then several members of the emergency committee came on stage. At the end, Zhou Yang suddenly appeared on TV. It's Dad. Zhao Tong shouted in surprise. Chen Ruoyan and others had a strange expression. They didn't expect Zhou Yang to appear in such an occasion. In the picture, Zhou Yang first gave a New Year's speech, and then said, "In the past year, the world situation has undergone tremendous changes, and we humans have also faced unprecedented challenges and crises, but the world has not been destroyed, and I believe that man will conquer nature. As long as we unite, we will definitely be able to solve all problems." At this moment, a little head suddenly popped out of the picture. It was Zhao Tong, who was lying on the table and said, "Dad, am I on TV?" Chen Royan and others were also shocked when they saw Zhao Tong suddenly appear on TV. At this time, Zhou Yang on TV picked up Zhao Tong, held her in his arms, waved Zhao Tong's hand to the camera, and then said, "Tong Tong, I wish everyone a happy new year." Zhao Tong also obediently called out a happy new year. This scene also made countless viewers in front of the TV fall in love with it. Compared with the routine greetings of other emergency committees, Zhou Yang's greetings made people feel more intimate, just like a good friend wishing you a happy new year. Zhou Yang said, as the last person to appear, "In addition to wishing everyone a happy new year, I have also prepared a gift for everyone, that is, to give everyone in the world a 500 yuan consumption voucher, which can be used to buy various daily necessities, hoping to bring some help to everyone's life." As soon as these words came out, the audience in front of the TV were shocked. 500 per person, 7 billion people in the world, that's 3.5 trillion. What a big deal. Just give money directly. Mr. Zhao is still practical. How to receive it? On TV, Zhou Yang said, "For relevant collection methods, you can consult the local government, or directly collect it through relevant channels on your mobile phone." Okay, finally, I wish everyone a happy new year. Cutting off the video, Zhou Yang pinched Zhao Tong's face helplessly and taught him a lesson. "Little rascal, next time when dad is working, don't come to disturb me. Got it?" Zhao Tong said with a pout. "Let's go, give New Year's greetings to grandpa and grandma." Zhou Yang didn't really blame Zhao Tong. He got up and took Zhao Tong to the living room. Outside the window, fireworks lit up the sky and there were sounds of firecrackers. A year has passed with the sound of firecrackers. I don't know how long I can enjoy such peace. Zhou Yang sighed. Chapter 415. The war is coming. With the arrival of the new year, Zhou Yang enjoyed a few days of quietness. Taking advantage of the free time, Zhou Yang took his whole family to the Maldives for a vacation. He rented an island, slept until he woke up naturally every day, then went diving, ate seafood barbecue, and enjoyed sunbathing. The days were not too carefree, but the peace was always broken. On February 13th, the eve of Valentine's Day, Zhou Yang and Chen Royan were lying on the beach, enjoying the sunbathing. In the distance, Da Tong Tong was running around on the beach with Zhou Tong Tong. It was calm and time seemed to stand still. At this moment, a large number of security personnel suddenly rushed out from the woods behind. "Helicopter, quickly prepare the helicopter, and wait for us to arrive." The leading security personnel shouted into the headset while running. The next moment, Zhou Yang was surrounded by security personnel. "What's wrong?" Chen Royan exclaimed. "Mr. Zhao, special alarm, you should go to shelter." Zhou Yang's face changed drastically. Special alarm, of course he knew what it meant. "Go pick up Tong Tong," Zhou Yang said to Chen Royan, who nodded and hurried over. "Where's my phone?" Zhou Yang said again. The security guard quickly handed over the phone. At this time, Chen Royan had already returned with the little Tong Tong. "Let's go." Zhou Yang didn't say much, and surrounded by the security guards, he rushed to the helicopter behind the island. "Fuxi," Zhou Yang called out. "Sir." Fuxi's voice came from the phone. "What's going on?" Zhou Yang asked. A simulated picture of the solar system immediately appeared on the phone screen. Fuxi said, "1 minute ago, our deep space detection system detected a space fleet that is approaching us quickly." "A fleet?" Zhou Yang's heart sank. It finally came. But it came later than expected. In these few months, the Earth is at least ready. "How many warships are there?" Zhou Yang asked. Fuxi said, "A total of 9 targets were detected. Because there is no relevant data, the size of the target cannot be determined, let alone observed. The monitoring range of the deep space detection system is 0.5 light years. At this distance, the enemy fleet appeared 1 minute ago, and there is no means of observation." If using an astronomical telescope, it will take half a year for the light from there to be transmitted. At this time, after approaching Pluto, the 9 targets on the screen suddenly separated from the original course, while the remaining 5 targets stayed in place. They are organizing the army, and then blocking the entire solar system. Zhou Yang's heart skipped a beat. These 4 targets are moving up, down, left and right, obviously to block the entire solar system. The solar system is not a plane as ordinary people think, but a 3-dimensional star system. The sun is attracted by the gravity of the Milky Way and revolves around the center of the Milky Way, while the 9 planets revolve around the sun. So in terms of space, the solar system is not a plane. This fleet appeared right in front of the solar system, and moved in 4 directions, up, down, left and right, just enough to block the entire solar system. As he spoke, Zhou Yang also came to the small airport. Chen Tao, Zhang Bo and others were also brought over by security personnel. Zhou, what's going on? Li Gizhi asked in panic. Zhou Yang turned around and hugged Chen Ruoyan. Chen Ruoyan's body trembled. She knew what Zhou Yang's hug meant. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I will protect you. I swear. Zhou Yang said softly. Chen Ruoyan nodded vigorously, tears already bursting out of her eyes uncontrollably, and whispered, Tong Tong and I will wait for you to come back. Yeah. Zhou Yang responded, and then said to Li Gizhi, Dad, Mom, something happened. These security personnel will take you to a safe place. You follow the arrangements. I'm here for everything. It's okay. Li Gizhi wanted to speak, but was stopped by Chen Tao. Chen Tao said, Zhou, go. Don't worry about us. We're fine. Zhou Yang nodded, and asked the security personnel to send everyone on the helicopter to the shelter. Dad. Zhao Tong leaned against the window of the helicopter and shouted loudly. Zhou Yang's heart trembled for a moment, but soon returned to normal. He watched the helicopter go away and said, I'll go change my clothes. After changing his clothes, a Zhou Yang also fell from the sky. The armor was opened, and there was no one inside. You guys evacuate. Zhou Yang instructed and boarded the Zhou Yang directly. The armor was closed, and Fuchs's voice also sounded, saying, the 6 Pangu class warships have all been launched, and the 2 lines of defense have all been activated. Zhou Yang nodded, his figure flashed, and disappeared from the spot. A few seconds later, Zhou Yang had arrived at the military command center. The Zhou Yang fell from the sky, and landed on the square right in front of the command center. Li Xianshu, who received the news, had already hurried over. Mr. Zhao, let's go to the underground base. Li Xianshu said. Zhou Yang nodded and asked as he walked, how are the preparations? Li Xianshu said, I can only say that I've tried my best. In the past 6 months, Li Xianshu has obviously lost a lot of weight. Thank you for your hard work. Zhou Yang smiled and said, we have done everything we can. Now we have to fight with real swords and guns. Zhou Yang has made all the preparations he can, and tried his best. If he still loses, it can only be said that it is his fate. Deep in the northwest, there is an extremely huge military base. In the center of the base, there is an extremely huge warship, a Pangu class warship, numbered number 1. Usually, number 1 is launched and drilled in space. The Pangu class warship has more than 13,000 combat personnel on board. Even with the assistance of artificial intelligence, it is not an easy task to command so many people and to exert combat effectiveness. Therefore, number 1, as the first interstellar warship to go offline, has been undergoing adaptive training in space for 2 months. It's just that it's the spring festival now, so it has returned to the base for routine maintenance. The space environment is harsh, and maintenance must be carried out after each launch training. Captain Chen Fingqiu, with the rank of Major General, is only in his 40s, and is an outstanding general of the younger generation of Country Z. Although it was the Spring Festival, the combat personnel at the base did not take a holiday. When the alarm was raised during the new year at the base, Chen Fingqiu was discussing the next stage of training tasks with the staff group. At this moment, a sharp alarm sounded in the base. Then the mobile phones of everyone present vibrated. Chen Fingqiu took it out and took a look. His face changed instantly. On the phone, the 4 words special alarm were extremely eye-catching. Here it comes. Deputy Captain Tangling said in a deep voice with a solemn expression. The expressions of many staff officers present also became extremely serious. The appearance of this alarm means that their enemy, the aliens, have appeared. War is coming too. Chen Fengqiu's eyes gradually became hot, and he said in a deep voice, "Yes, it's coming." Chapter 416 Defensive Strategy. The underground anti-nuclear bomb base of the military command center. On the big screen, all the emergency committees were online, all in different underground anti-nuclear bomb bases. "Mr. Zhou." Everyone nodded and greeted Zhou Yang when they saw him appear. Zhou Yang nodded to Wang Muzhou and asked, "What's the situation now?" Wang Muzhou said, "The 6 Pangu-class warships, the first to the 5th ships on Earth, have all been prepared and launched into Earth orbit. The 6th ship, which is performing a training mission on Mars, has also received the order and is rushing back. In addition, the 1st to the 7th armies of the Space Force have all entered a state of combat readiness, and 70,000 Zuanians are ready to go into battle at any time. The laser artillery bases on the Moon, Mars, and the Earth are all in place, and the relevant logistical resources and surface military bases have also entered a wartime state." Zhou Yang nodded, which means that all the military resources on Earth have been mobilized. The reason why it was so fast is mainly because it has been in a state of combat readiness during this period of time. "Mr. Zhou," the person in charge of Country Z said in a deep voice, "now we are discussing a very important issue, whether to take the initiative, to attack or defend the Earth. What do you think?" The simulation signal from the reconnaissance showed that of the 9 targets, except for 4 targets that were scattered and blocked the entire solar system, the remaining 5 targets all stayed outside Pluto and did not enter the solar system. At this time, the Earth was left with 2 choices. One was to take the initiative to attack, and the other was to defend the Earth. Zhou Yang's expression was also extremely serious. This war may be related to the future of the entire Earth. Any decision will lead to irreversible consequences. Billions of people and their loved ones' lives are all on their shoulders. How dare Zhou Yang make a decision easily? He asked. "What do you think?" Sin said, "My idea is to take the initiative to attack and put the battlefield far away from the Earth. If we defend the Earth, once the war starts, the war will spread and may affect the Earth." Others also expressed their opinions. Among the 7 people, 4 supported taking the initiative to attack, and 3 suggested defending the Earth. The reason for defending the Earth is that the Earth and the Moon are close, and there are a large number of fixed laser cannons, which can help defend and provide considerable firepower support. At this time, Li Xianshu said, "We leave 1 warship on the Earth, and the remaining 5 will take the initiative to attack." Wang Muzhou shook his head and said, "Divide the troops? This is a taboo in military strategy." Zhou Yang nodded and said, "Dividing the troops is not advisable. The main reason is that we don't know how strong the opponent's military is. In the first war, we must win the victory in one battle and concentrate all our forces." Li Xianshu said no more. Zhou Yang looked at the simulation map. Now the 5 stagnant targets are parked near Pluto, and now Pluto is near the aphelion, which is 6.2 billion kilometers away from the Earth. The Pangu-class warship, after the propulsion system is fully turned on, can reach a speed of 1/5 of the speed of light, which is about 60,000 kilometers per second. If we take the initiative to attack, it will take 28 hours for 6 warships to depart from the Earth and go to Pluto. If the whole army attacks, if there is a problem on the Earth, there will be no time to rescue. The most crucial point is that the other side's warships have space jump technology. The last time the Decident warship appeared, it appeared near the Earth. It should have obtained the coordinates of the Earth. After getting the space jump technology information, Zhou Yang also saw that space jump is not what he thought at the beginning. If you don't know where the target is, you can't make a space jump. Knowing the similar coordinates, you can also infer the location of the target area, so Zhou Yang thinks that the other side has the ability to jump directly to the vicinity of the Earth. Imagine that 6 warships, plus the carrier-based aircraft and mechas on board, are almost all the assets of mankind, rushing to Pluto in a mighty manner. As a result, when approaching the target, the other side directly jumps in space and appears near the Earth. At this time, the 6 warships can't come back to help, and the remaining defense forces of the Earth can't resist the enemy at all. Zhou Yang even suspected that the other side did not appear directly near the Earth, but docked at the position of Pluto, not only to wait for the 4 warships to block the solar system, but also to lure the Earth to take the initiative. It is estimated that they guessed that the Earth did not have the technology of space jump, so they wanted to use space jump technology to stage a surprise attack. After telling everyone his thoughts, Zhou Yang said, "So my opinion is to defend the Earth and use the moon as the main defense line as much as possible. As for the war you are worried about, it will spread to the Earth." Zhou Yang paused, his expression struggling. His relatives are also on Earth. Even if they are already in the underground refuge base, there is still 1,000 miles away. Whether the refuge base can withstand the attack of enemy weapons is unknown. So defending the Earth will put Chen Royan and others in danger. But the risk of taking the initiative to attack is too great, and Zhou Yang cannot gamble with the future of human civilization. I think we should also have the determination to bear all losses and burn our boats, Zhou Yang said. The 7 people were silent for a while and began to think about Zhou Yang's words. After a while, the person in charge of Country Z said in a deep voice, "In that case, it is indeed very risky to take the initiative to attack. Then we can only defend the Earth to the death. Just like Mr. Zhao said, we must fight to the death. Minister Wang, tell the soldiers on the front line that behind them are their relatives and their country. They can't afford to lose, and they can't lose." Scene Sidon said, "Okay, then, defend the Earth to the death." The remaining 5 people also nodded in agreement. The 8 people's opinions were unified. Next, all actions will be prepared around defending the Earth to the death. Minister Wang, military affairs are left to you. I hope you can win the first battle. The person in charge of Country Z said, "I still have a few meetings to attend, so that's it for now. Once the war starts, there will be an astonishing amount of things to do. Professional things will be left to professionals. The 8 people will decide the general direction, and the specific implementation will depend on Wang Muzhao. Wang Muzhao is not alone. Behind him stand military generals and all elites from all countries in the world." Scene also said God bless and went offline. 7 people went offline one after another. Wang Muzhao immediately summoned senior generals to discuss further defense strategies on the premise of defending the Earth. "Mr. Zhao, I'm busy too," Li Xianshu said. He was responsible for logistics support, and his work was no less than Wang Muzhao's. Zhou Yang nodded, looking at the staff running around in the refuge base. He was a little at a loss for a moment. Others in the emergency committee needed to stabilize social order and evacuate civilians, and Wang Muzhao and his team had to command military operations. Zhou Yang didn't understand this aspect. All he could do was to do scientific research, and now Zhou Yang had done everything he could. "I hope I have done enough," Zhou Yang sighed. Chapter 417 Taking over the robot. Virtual space. In the game Miracle, as the world's first virtual reality game, Miracle has an astonishing number of users. With a long period of version updates, the number of online users has always remained at a very high level. In the Gold Coast dungeon, Zhou Yang, as the team commander, was commanding his team members to launch the final attack on the final boss, Golden Soul. It's the 3rd stage. Be careful, if you die now, the whole team will be wiped out. The health of the boss kept decreasing, and it was about to return to 0. Golden Soul, who was swinging a giant hammer and attacking frantically, seemed to be cast into a fixed body spell and suddenly stopped moving. Various attacks fell on Golden Soul, but he did not lose blood. What's going on? Is it stuck? Stuck? Are you kidding? This is a virtual space. There has never been a disconnection. Okay. What's going on? Why did the boss suddenly stop moving? Chen Yang was also so angry that he was about to vomit blood. He was about to overthrow the boss, but such a thing happened. At this moment, a pop-up window suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Please log off within 10 seconds and follow the instructions of government staff to seek refuge in a safe area. Please note that all actions must be followed. If there is any violation of the law, it will be severely punished. Not only Chen Yang, but all the team members present received the same prompt. What's going on? Why do you want to go offline? What does it mean to seek refuge? Fuck, isn't this the same as the last time the aliens attacked? We also need to seek refuge. Are the aliens coming again? I guess so. I'm going offline quickly. Chen Xiaoyang was also stunned. He could not forget the last time the aliens appeared, and he went to grab rice. There was no time to think about it. The 10 seconds were up. Chen Xiaoyang's eyes went black, and he was kicked offline. At this moment, everyone in the virtual space, no matter what they were doing, received the same prompt, and everyone was kicked offline. Chen Xiaoyang went offline, and climbed up from the virtual warehouse. The third generation of Dabe at home appeared in front of Chen Xiaoyang. Master, please change your clothes immediately, and follow me to the Civil Air Defense Project for refuge. Dabe said. Chen Xiaoyang was stunned and asked in surprise, Xiao Bei, I didn't call you. Who gave you the order? Dabe repeated, Master, please change your clothes immediately, and follow me to the Civil Air Defense Project for shelter. Chen Xiaoyang frowned and looked out the window. The sky was clear and there was no wool. However, people had already appeared on the street below, making a mess. Chen Xiaoyang took his clothes and asked while putting them on, Xiao Bei, where are we going to take shelter? Do we need to bring food? And how long will we take shelter here? Dabe said, since there is no Civil Air Defense Project in your community, we will go to the Civil Air Defense Project of Huhua New Village, 1 kilometer away, for shelter. Please don't worry about food and drink. Someone will arrange it. As for the time of shelter, we will notify you separately. Chen Xiaoyang frowned and looked at Dabe in confusion. He felt that this Dabe seemed to have been taken over, and his personality had changed. He said, then can I stay at home? Civil air defense projects are underground garages. It is dark and Chen Xiaoyang doesn't want to go. At this moment, Dabe suddenly stepped forward and picked up Chen Xiaoyang. Fuck, what are you doing? Chen Xiaoyang struggled hard, but it was useless. His strength was no match for the robot. He was carried on Dabe's shoulders and couldn't get away. Fuck, Dabe, I bought you with my own money. I order you to stop. But no matter how Chen Xiaoyang ordered, Dabe ignored him and ran downstairs with Chen Xiaoyang on his back. When he came downstairs, Chen Xiaoyang found that there were many people who were carried by household robots like him. When he ran to the street, a large number of robots had already appeared on the street. They all looked different. Chen Xiaoyang even saw a robot running out of a store and joining the army of robots. Hundreds of robots formed a row and shouted, please obey the number 1 emergency shelter order issued by the emergency committee. According to the instructions, go to the designated place for shelter. Please obey the command. Any resistance will be severely punished. A large number of people were driven out and driven away by the robots. Chen Xiaoyang saw that a man seemed to disagree, shouting that I paid for the robot, why should I control me, and picked up a stone and threw it at the robot. However, a stone could not hurt the robot at all, and 2 robots immediately stepped forward, one on the left and one on the right, directly locked the man's arms and continued to carry him. Similar scenes are staged from time to time, but facing the army of robots, all resistance is futile. In the sky, there is a Mecha-building logo. It turns out that it is a drone used by Mecha-building to deliver food. It also began to fly all over the sky, searching for hidden people in each room. Anyone who intends to hide will be discovered and then taken away by the robot. The whole process seems to be controlled by an invisible person. Chen Xiaoyang was also carried by his own Dabe to the underground civil air defense garage in Huhua New Village. There are a row of industrial robots standing at the 2 entrances of the garage, blocking the exit, and there are already many people in the garage. Dabe put Chen Xiaoyang down, ran away without saying a word, and together with 3 industrial robots, lifted a car and ran out of the garage. Moreover, Chen Xiaoyang noticed that many cars started up autonomously and then drove out of the garage without a driver, making room inside the garage. Damn, are these robots rebelling? Someone cursed nearby. That is to say, I paid for the robots, why don't they obey my orders? Stop cursing. You have to understand, these robots are nominally yours, but who provides the background data? It is not provided by the state. Normally, they don't care, but now at this special moment, they must have taken over these robots directly. Are the aliens really coming? It should be, and this time it seems to be more serious than the last time. Are the alien armies really coming? I don't know. There is no news at all. My mobile phone is turned off. There is no network at all. What's going on in this garage? Why is the signal so bad? Don't think about it. It must be that the mobile phone's communication service has stopped. Alas, this is simply managing us as prisoners. I guess they are afraid that someone will take the opportunity to cause trouble. The country must have its reasons for doing this. Everyone should understand. At this time, groups of industrial robots appeared, holding various supplies, tents, quilts, instant noodles, mineral water, etc. There were even robots operating equipment doing construction work in the corner of the garage, apparently building a toilet. Chapter 418 The War Begins. At the Northwest Base, the number 1 ship was ready and slowly lifted off. Inside the huge battleship's cabin, there were 240 carrier-based aircraft parked, and all pilots were in place. Ground crew were conducting a final inspection of the carrier-based aircraft to ensure safety. Lin Zhao was among them, wearing combat uniforms, sitting inside the carrier-based aircraft, waiting for further orders. At this moment, the carrier-based aircraft system prompted that someone had requested access. After taking a look at the ID, Lin Zhao's heart skipped a beat. It was sent by Jinzi. In the first assessment, Jinzi failed and was not shortlisted for the 240-person list, but later Jinzi made the final list with his own efforts. Like Lin Zhao, he became a glorious carrier-based aircraft pilot of the number 1 ship. The communication was connected, and Jinzi's projection appeared in front of Lin Zhao. "What's wrong?" Lin Zhao asked. Jinzi said, "Lin Zhao, I'm a little nervous." "Nervous?" Lin Zhao was stunned. He certainly knew why Jinzi was nervous. This was a war. They were about to go to the battlefield and fight a desperate battle with aliens. They were soldiers now, and their loved ones stood behind them. For them, Lin Zhao could only fight to the death. And who wouldn't be nervous when facing death? After a moment of silence, Lin Zhao said, "Jinzi, don't worry, I will protect you, I swear." In the video, Jinzi shook his head, his eyes suddenly became firm, and said, "Lin Zhao, I'm not afraid of death, I'm just afraid of going on the road alone, dying or being single." "Lin Zhao, you like me, don't you?" Lin Zhao's face suddenly turned red. Jinzi continued, "I know, you just like me, and I like you too, Lin Zhao. After this war is over, we will report to our superiors, and then take 2 days off. You can go home with me to meet my parents, okay?" Lin Zhao's heart was completely panicked, and even the smart program issued a warning, prompting Lin Zhao's heartbeat too fast. Clenching his fists, Lin Zhao had only one thought in his mind. If a girl could be so bold, what else should he be afraid of? Looking up at Jinzi, Lin Zhao nodded vigorously and said, "Okay." Jinzi smiled gently. The breaking of this window paper brought their relationship to a new stage. In order to relieve the pressure of the coming war, the two began to chat and fantasize about their future life. They chatted for almost an hour. At this moment, a sharp alarm suddenly sounded all around. The faces of the two changed drastically at the same time. In the video, Jinzi's eyes flashed, biting her lower lip and said, "Lin Zhao, you must stay alive for me. No, we will come back alive together. You swear to me. Okay, come back alive together." Lin Zhao nodded vigorously. In the spacious command room of the number 1 ship, Chen Fengqiao stood on the command desk. Below him were rows of operating desks. At this time, dozens of staff members were busy at the operating desks. In front, there was a huge porthole, through which you could see the deep space. At this time, the number 1 ship was in a synchronous orbit 36,000 kilometers away from the surface of the Earth. "Old Chen, the order has come," Deputy Captain Tang Ling said. "Oh, what order?" Chen Fengqiao said. Tang Ling said, "According to the order of the military command center, our ships number 1, 2, and 3 will be the main force. At the beginning of the battlefield, they will rush into the enemy fleet and split the enemy fleet. After we complete the task of dividing the battlefield, ships number 4, 5, and 6 will launch an attack from the flank. Our main task is to delay the enemy warships, and by time for ships number 4, 5, and 6. They will concentrate their firepower to attack an enemy ship and try to consume the enemy's manpower. At the same time, the laser artillery bases on the moon and the earth will also assist us in the attack. Chen Finkyo nodded solemnly and said, reply to the command center, ship number 1 has received the order. After a pause, Chen Finkyo said, but Liu Tang, now we don't even know how many warships the enemy has, and how the warship's firepower configuration is. All strategies are taken for granted. When the war really breaks out, we still have to respond flexibly. You ask the staff to make more plans, to give full play to our firepower advantage, so that we don't have to be unable to respond at that time. Tang Ling nodded and said, don't worry, Liu Chen, they have already made more than a dozen plans. There will be no problem. No problem. Chen Finkyo smiled bitterly and said, old Tang, you know, the space war we are fighting now, all the knowledge we have learned has been overturned. We have never experienced a real space war. This is the first time. I'm nervous, afraid that something will go wrong, because once something goes wrong, it will be irreparable. Chen Finkyo looked towards the direction of the earth. The Azure Earth was his hometown. Tang Ling smiled and said, you are the captain, the backbone of more than 10,000 of us. You can't panic. If you panic, what will we do? Okay, don't think too much. I have seen aliens a long time ago. They look the same as us, with only one head. If the head falls off, they will die. There is nothing to be afraid of. At this moment, the alarm sounded. The next moment, a holographic projection was cast overhead. It was a shrunken solar system. 5 targets at the edge of the solar system were moving rapidly towards the earth. Here they come. Chen Finkyo's face changed. Sound the alarm. Turn on the energy shield. Everyone enter the combat position and prepare for battle. Chen Finkyo said immediately. Outside the porthole, a light blue energy shield appeared. After giving the order, Chen Finkyo asked again, what is the enemy's speed? The intelligent program voice sounded. The enemy's speed has reached 150,000 kilometers per second. At the current speed, it will reach the Earth in 11 hours. As soon as the voice fell, the 5 targets on the projection disappeared abruptly. What's going on? Chen Finkyo asked hurriedly. The target disappeared, and it is speculated that the space jump may have been activated. Chen Finkyo hurriedly said, quick, speed up, approach the second ship. In the prepared plan, it was considered that the enemy warship would suddenly jump to the vicinity of the Earth. The plan made for this is, first, 6 warships, distributed near the Earth. No matter where the enemy warship jumps to, they can quickly approach to support. Second, if the enemy warship jumps to the vicinity of one of the warships, the Earth can detect the enemy warships. There is no reason why the enemy cannot detect the Earth's warships, so it is possible to concentrate superior forces and attack one warship first. So if the enemy starts the space jump, warships 1, 2, and 3 will quickly gather towards warship 2, and warships 4, 5, and 6 will gather towards warship 5. This will ensure that the 3 warships are close to each other and support each other, so that the enemy warships will not focus on one warship at the first time. The huge warship started and quickly approached warship 2. At this moment, a strong halo appeared in the space in front of the porthole. The next moment, 5 dark warships squeezed out from the huge halo, each of which was an astonishing 2,000 meters long. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419 Kick the Door. Under the halo, 5 polygonal warships appeared in space, on the route of the number 1 ship, only more than 9,000 kilometers away from the number 1 ship. This distance is almost face to face. At the same time, the number 2 ship is 43,000 kilometers away from the number 1 ship. Although the Pangu class warship can reach a maximum speed of 60,000 kilometers per second, the maximum speed cannot be reached instantly. There will be an acceleration process, and the whole process takes about 10 seconds. And there is another key factor. Such a large warship is not like driving a car. You just put the gear in and step on the accelerator. It takes a second for the captain to react and make a decision. Even if he gives an order, to say a word, and then the order is passed down, the thrusters are started, the U-turn is turned, and then it accelerates. The whole process, 30 seconds, is considered fast. And at this time, if it is ready, the weapon system on the warship can attack 2 or 3 rounds. The opponent has 5 warships, and all the weapon systems must have been ready when preparing for the space jump. In the first round of attack, the opponent must be faster. Sure enough, when the 5 warships appeared, the densely packed turrets on the top of the hull had already popped out, and the large turrets hoisted into the hull also burst into blue light, and they had begun to charge. Chen Fingqiu's heart was pounding, but his expression was as solid as a rock, without even a trace of trembling. The first change on the battlefield occurred. The enemy warships had space jump technology, and the attack of kicking the door was varied, and any plan was invalid. All laser cannons concentrate their firepower and attack target number 1, and guide the lunar and earth laser cannon bases to attack target number 1 at the same time. Start the thrusters and rush to the target. Let all carrier-based aircraft and mecha battalions go out, under the leadership of officers at all levels. Fight flexibly, and give priority to attacking target number 1. In just a few seconds, Chen Fingqiu spoke clearly, and issued 3 orders. The staff at the operating table below also conveyed the orders as soon as possible, and at the same time, the intelligent program would also assist in transmitting the orders. Inside the huge ship, there are densely packed crew cabins in various compartments. Now tens of thousands of people are waiting for orders in their respective combat positions. As the alarm sounded, everyone was startled, like a cheetah ready to pounce, and hunt prey at any time. Everyone has a smartwatch on their hands. Don't look at it small, but it is powerful and has an identity recognition function. If you want to move freely inside the warship, you have to swipe the watch to open each security door. Like combat personnel, such as Mechas, this watch also has an identity mark, which can open the corresponding mecha. Even personnel in different blocks have bracelets of different colors for quick identification. Finally, the watch also has basic information transmission, map guidance, projection, communication positioning and other functions. In the mecha cabin, 4,000 Zhuang stood quietly in standby mode, and all the drivers were waiting next to them. Chen Fingqiu gave an order, and the watch of the regiment leader Zhou Yang vibrated, and the order was passed on. All the drivers present received the same order. Without being reminded, everyone immediately jumped onto the mechas that were opened nearby. The armor closed, and the mechas started instantly. Not far away, 4 airtight doors were slowly opening. "Let's go," Zhou Yang shouted in the communication channel, and he rushed into the number 1 airtight room as fast as lightning. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Officers at all levels urged, and all the mechas were in an orderly manner, rushing to the airtight door at the fastest speed. These all need to be trained, otherwise everyone will rush in, and the airtight room has a limited volume. Some people run around and bump into others, which is secondary. If they run to the wrong door and find that it is full, they will run to other airtight rooms, which will delay time. From the Pangu class battleships being offline to now, it has only been more than a month, and these soldiers have made great efforts to form combat effectiveness. In 5 seconds, all the mechas have rushed into the 4 airtight rooms. Each airtight room is filled with no more or less than 250 Zhuang, and there is no extra space. This is the result of the training. Otherwise, it would definitely be a riot and a waste of time. The door of the airtight chamber began to close. At this moment, the hull shook violently, as if it had been kicked hard by someone. Everyone's face changed slightly. "Captain, we are attacked." The deputy commander was right next to Zhou Yang, and said with a serious expression. Zhou Yang nodded. At this time, the airtight door finally closed, and began to vacuum. Zhou Yang was anxious, but he had no way to do it. The interior of the warship was pressurized. If the airtight door was opened directly, it would be a disaster. The instantaneous negative pressure would destroy everything. Therefore, it is necessary to enter a special airtight chamber, extract air, and reach a vacuum before opening the external hatch. The same scene also happened on the carrier-based aircraft side. There are a large number of inspection and maintenance equipment and maintenance personnel in the carrier-based aircraft preparation position. These personnel and equipment must not be exposed to the harsh space environment. Therefore, once a carrier-based aircraft is to be dispatched, the carrier-based aircraft will use a special tractor to tow it into the same airtight chamber. Compared to the mecha unit, which only has 4 airtight compartments, the carrier-based aircraft has a full 24 airtight compartments, distributed around the bottom of the warship, and each airtight compartment can accommodate 2 carrier-based aircraft. Within 30 seconds, 1 exit is completed, and 48 carrier-based aircraft are dispatched. It will take at least 2.5 minutes to dispatch all 240 carrier-based aircraft. When the order was issued, Lin Zhao, as the first batch of carrier-based aircraft dispatched, was quickly towed to the designated location by an unmanned tractor. At this time, the hull shook violently. Lin Zhao's face changed slightly, knowing that the opponent had begun to attack. After exiting the cabin, quickly disperse and give priority to attacking the opponent's number 1 target. The captain's voice sounded. Lin Zhao took a deep breath to calm the adrenaline that was surging due to excitement and tension. The airtight chamber began to extract vacuum, and after a few seconds, the conditions for exiting the cabin were met. The airtight door in front quickly opened, and Lin Zhao saw the deep space at a glance. With a slight buzzing sound, the carrier-based aircraft rushed out like a sharp arrow. In an instant, it penetrated the energy shield. Lin Zhao quickly turned his head and saw that the number 1 ship was facing the direction of the 5 enemy warships. A huge flame burst out from the energy shield. In the distance, 5 enemy warships burst out with laser beams. Thousands of them, densely packed, cutting through the space. Shocking. At the same time, the 540 laser cannons on the number 1 ship were also firing back, and densely packed laser beams shot out. At the same time, behind the enemy warships, where the number 2 ship was located, and behind the number 1 ship, in the direction of the number 6 ship, there were also densely packed laser beams shooting over. What was even more shocking was that hundreds of even thicker laser beams were also bombarding the surface of the moon. Behind the Earth, there were also laser beams tearing through the atmosphere and shooting at the enemy warships. The entire space was illuminated. Chapter 420 Strategy Failure. The underground shelter of the military command center. The moment the alarm sounded, Zhou Yang stood up like a spring and rushed out of the lounge. In the spacious command center, everyone was busy and nervous, and orders were passed down one by one. The holographic projection accurately marked the war situation. Zhou Yang saw at a glance that the 5 enemy targets began to move towards the Earth. Wang Mizhao had a serious expression and issued orders one after another. At this time, everyone was busy, and the huge war machine of the Earth finally began to run frantically. Zhou Yang did not step forward, but stood in a remote corner, so as not to disturb Wang Mizhao and others. Zhou Yang did not understand war, and going up would only cause trouble. "Mr. Zhao, do you think we can win?" A woman's voice came from behind. Zhou Yang turned his head, and saw that it was Li Ziyu, holding a folder, with an expression of nervousness that could not be concealed. "Are you scared?" Zhou Yang asked. Li Ziyu shook his head quickly and said, "I'm not afraid." Zhou Yang smiled and said, "It's okay to be afraid. It's human nature. Not to mention you, I'm afraid too. I'm afraid that we will lose this war. But I don't think so." Li Ziyu was stunned. He didn't know why Zhou Yang was so confident. Zhou Yang stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the holographic projection in the distance. The 5 targets of the other side should have activated the space jump and appeared directly near the Earth. The distance was short, and the reconnaissance satellites in space also transmitted the situation in space in the form of video as soon as possible. The previous communication technology would have a delay in transmission, and the amount of data was limited, so it was impossible to do real-time video transmission. But now, using the main source magnetic gravitational field communication technology, it is possible to transmit high-definition video. There are many reconnaissance satellites in the Earth's orbit and the Moon's orbit, so the war in the Earth's orbit can be transmitted accurately. Zhou Yang narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the 5 Desatine warships. "First of all, I believe in our soldiers. They are so brave that they are willing to sacrifice their lives to protect our homeland. Second, the other side only sent a fleet. A fleet of 9 warships is nothing compared to a huge second-level civilization. I'm afraid that the Decidin civilization doesn't take the Earth civilization seriously at all, so it just sent a fleet here casually. Our technological level should have reached the level of a second level civilization now, but there are also differences between second level civilizations. Decidin is stronger than the Oma civilization, and stronger than us. Zhou Yang seemed to be talking to Li Ziyu, but also seemed to be talking to himself. We are waiting for the enemy to tire themselves out. There may be some differences in technical indicators in the level of warships, but the war power is at the same level. We will definitely win such a war. But the real threat is the serious Decidin civilization, so we have to make progress. The existence of the gravity zone gives us time to develop, but time is limited, so we have to build more warships. We must complete the space jump technology as soon as possible, win this war, start building super weapons, and complete an interstellar colonization at the same time to obtain more resources. Zhou Yang's thoughts gradually became clear. Now the system has two tasks. One is the main task, completing interstellar colonization, and rewarding the technical information of the Dyson sphere. But if you want to complete the colonization, flying over is definitely not enough. You must have the technology of space jump. Then there is a random task. The Pangu class warship goes into battle and wins. This war is equivalent to completing the task. The reward is the method of building a super weapon. Zhou Yang feels that now he should make every effort to break through the space jump technology and then use that star core to build a set of super weapons. With this set of super weapons, complete an interstellar colonization, and finally get the technical information of the Dyson sphere. At that time, as the fundamental energy of a civilization, it will be broken through again. And in this battle, Zhou Yang believes that the Earth can win. In space, laser cannons are roaring. 5 Decidin warships, thousands of laser cannons attack in an instant. Only one round of attack has knocked down 6% of the defense efficiency of the energy shield of the number 1 ship. If the attack efficiency is based on this, the energy shield will be broken after 17 rounds of salvos. At that time, only one round will cause devastating damage to the warship. The firing speed of the laser cannon is not fast, mainly because of the charging time. For example, the Pangu class warship takes 15 seconds to complete the charging, and the charging time of the front and rear main guns is longer, about 40 seconds each. The enemy warship's laser beam charging efficiency is higher, and it can complete a charging and fire again in about 10 seconds. In other words, in theory, the energy shield of the number 1 ship will be broken in less than 170 seconds, less than 3 minutes. But this is the most ideal condition. The warship will also move at a fast speed, which will test the warship's fire control system. If the attack efficiency is compromised, then under the siege of 5 Decidin warships, ship number 1 will be destroyed within 5 minutes. On the bridge, facing the concentrated fire attack of 5 enemy warships, Chen Fengqiu's face did not change at all, and he still ordered the warships to rush towards the enemy warships. At 9,000 kilometers, after the speed is increased, it will collide with the enemy warships in at most 10 seconds. However, the enemy warships will not stay there stupidly to let ship number 1 advance, and they also began to evacuate towards the moon. They are faster, and it is still difficult to catch up with them. Chen Fengqiu glanced at the positions of the other 5 Pangu class warships, all of which are approaching this side quickly. At this time, a ladder is being formed, with ship number 1 as the spearhead, chasing the enemy warships. The battle line is being stretched. The initial strategy of the military command center, which wanted to rush into the enemy formation with 3 Pangu class warships, split the enemy warships, and then concentrate the firepower of the remaining 3 warships to destroy 1 enemy warship first, can be said to be a complete failure. So after Chen Fengqiu found that he could not catch up, he quickly gave the order, stop, turn right 30 degrees, meet up with other warships at the center of the Earth and the Moon, and regroup. Tang Ling beside him was shocked and said, "Old Chen, don't chase us anymore." Chen Fengqiu nodded and said, "We can't catch up. Their speed is faster. They jumped over through space. The first step of concentrating firepower to attack us has failed, and our strategy of intending to split the enemy warships has also failed. At this time, we should reorganize the army, generals against generals, soldiers against soldiers, and start a real confrontation." Tang Ling wanted to say more, but the signalman below shouted, "The latest order from the command center, ordering us to reorganize the formation and play the advantage of the group." Tang Ling was surprised that Chen Finkyo had completely guessed the idea of the command center. "Notify other warships. We will approach the center of the Earth and the Moon." Chen Finkyo immediately ordered. Chapter 421, Race Against Time. In the underground refuge base, Zhou Yang also quickly noticed that the enemy warships retreated, and our warships received the latest order and stopped chasing. "Have we entered the next stage?" Zhou Yang said. Zhou Yang didn't understand much about military matters, but from the perspective of technology, in the first stage, the enemy will definitely take advantage of space jumps and sudden appearances to launch a wave of attacks first. The first contact between the Earth and the Decident civilization, that is, the last battle, was that the Earth had not yet developed the Pangu class warships. It relied on a large number of Zuanians, and the enemy came with a small warship, which was how the enemy was repelled. It is conceivable that this warship will describe the Earth when it goes back. The Earth has a large number of second-generation battle armors, but it has not mastered the energy shield technology and has not yet built an interstellar battleship. Then the Decident civilization directly sent a fleet, thinking that 9 interstellar battleships would be enough to attack the Earth civilization that did not even have a battleship. After they entered the solar system, they directly divided their troops, and 4 battleships left in a swagger, intending to block the entire solar system. At this time, the enemy warships should have detected the 6 Pangu class warships, but they could not see them due to the billions of kilometers. They only knew that there were 6 large enemy targets. It might be an orbital defense system or something. Then naturally, they would think of using space jumps to directly launch a wave of concentrated fire to kill a target. Although they did not know what the target was, the Earth did not have energy shield technology anyway, and one round of attack would definitely kill a target. Then, the Decident warships acted like this, but they never expected that after the space jump, the target they were going to attack was actually an interstellar warship larger than them. The most important thing is that the Pangu class warships also have energy shield technology. The estimation was wrong, and the concentrated fire attack was directly in vain. If Zhou Yang was the commander of the enemy warship, he would either retreat or temporarily retreat, reorganize the army, merge with the other 4 warships, play the advantage of numbers, and then plan an attack. Because they only have 5 ships, and there are 6 ships on the Earth side. As for the evidence, it soon appeared. The 4 warships of the enemy that blocked the solar system were also detected to be activated and heading towards the Earth. It is estimated that they will start a space jump soon. At this time, compared with the Earth civilization, forcible pursuit will definitely not catch up. The best way is to regroup, exert cluster firepower, and fight head-on. At this stage, the ingenious plan has failed, and the next step is to test the hard power of both sides. From Zhou Yang's point of view, although the Decident side has an advantage in the number of warships, the strength of the warships is probably not as good as that of the Earth. First, the number of laser cannons is at least half that of the Earth. In this way, the total number of laser cannons of both sides must have some advantages on the Earth, reaching 3,200. On the other hand, 9 warships and 2,000 are almost enough. At the same time, the Earth and the Moon have also arranged a large number of laser cannon bases. Because they are land-based, the firepower is stronger. On the Earth side, the power will be reduced due to the weakening of the atmosphere. But overall, it is estimated that it can also be equivalent to 1,000 laser cannons. This is a 1-fold weapon gap. Moreover, these laser cannon bases have energy shields, and it will take a certain amount of time to destroy them. Secondly, Earth still has 70,000 Zuanian and Mechas, 1,440 carrier-based aircraft on 6 warships, and more than 500 carrier-based aircraft on the ground that have been produced, but have not been put on board in time, because the warships have not been produced. Therefore, judging from the data on paper, Earth has fully utilized its home advantage, and has an overall advantage. There is no reason to lose this battle. And Zhou Yang doesn't need to remind them of these things. Wang Mizhou and his men can analyze the changes in the situation of both sides from a military perspective, and have already issued an order to regroup. On the ground, hundreds of carrier-based aircraft have already started and are heading to the designated battlefield. By then, it will be a real battle. While Wang Mazhao is free, Zhou Yang thought about it and walked forward. I have some ideas, Zhou Yang said. Wang Mazhao said quickly, you say. Zhou Yang said, now it's a head-on battle. In a battle in space, because of the vast battlefield space, it is not easy to completely destroy the opponent. This is a space war. Unlike a ground war, it is not easy to run if you have to stand on the ground, but it is much easier to run in space. In addition, there are energy shields, especially the emergence of space jump technology, which can directly jump and escape in space when in danger. But the Earth has not yet mastered the space jump technology, so it is not easy to chase the opponent and completely destroy the opponent. The enemy has space jump technology. Just like last time, if the situation is not right, the enemy can directly space jump to escape. If there is a chance to destroy the enemy, it would be the best. But if there is no such opportunity, there is no need to advance rashly. In other words, there is no need to take huge risks and sacrifice our soldiers for the sake of victory. Do you understand what I mean? Wang Mazhao was stunned and frowned. What if the enemy escapes? Zhou Yang said, if they escape, they escape. You are the commander. You should also know that what I said is right. It is difficult to completely destroy the enemy. Wang Mazhao nodded slightly. Space warfare is completely different from ground warfare. In ground warfare, you can make clever plans, outflank the enemy, and surround and kill the enemy. But in space, how to outflank? The detection system can detect situations beyond the light year level. How can you outflank? If we have more warships, we can prevent the enemy from escaping in a very short time. But we don't have them, and the technological level of our warships is similar. It is impossible for us to destroy the enemy warships directly with one round of attack. As for your worry about the enemy escaping, this problem is not a big problem. Zhou Yang's random task requires repelling the enemy, not destroying the enemy, so as long as the enemy is repelled, the task can be completed. If the enemy escapes, then their reaction is to send more warships, and because of the gravity zone, this will take a long time. In March, we will have 6 more warships offline, and our second space fleet of 12 warships is also under construction. We are also upgrading our weapons. We will have more powerful weapons, and even develop space jump technology. The significance of this battle is to repel the enemy and win us precious time. We are now racing against time. After completing the random task, Zhou Yang will get the technical information of the super weapon. At that time, he will fully develop the super weapon. Coupled with the space jump technology, the combat effectiveness of the warship can be improved again. And by the time the enemy warships arrive again, I'm afraid the number and level of weapons on Earth will double again. Chapter 422, Enemy vs. Wang Mazhao was lost in thought, his eyes becoming somewhat hesitant. Zhou Yang roughly guessed what he was thinking, and said, I know that you have just taken over the military command center, and you need to fight a good battle, a victorious battle, to justify yourself. A general who is also in charge of the global military mobilization, equivalent to the existence of the commander-in-chief of the Earth, now facing the aliens for the first time. He did not win, or the fight was not painful, then Wang Mazhao would definitely suffer a lot of criticism. Wang Mazhao's face changed slightly, and he hurriedly said, Mr. Zhao, I don't think so. Zhou Yang waved his hands and said, it's human nature. You want to win the battle. I didn't say this is not a good thing, but in this battle, we just have to do our best. Winning is the best, but if we don't win, as long as we repel the opponent and achieve our strategic goals, it will be enough. Think about it. Even if you really win this war and destroy all 9 of the opponent's warships, what can it do? We are facing a powerful civilization. They have a population of tens of billions and rule several star systems as large as the solar system. The loss of 9 warships is nothing to them. Don't worry, I will take the responsibility for any problems. If anyone criticizes you, let him tell me. Wang Mazhao was persuaded and nodded vigorously, saying, Mr. Zhao, I know what to do. If Zhou Yang hadn't said this, Wang Mazhao would have really considered it, such as sacrificing 1 or 2 warships, or activating the self-destruct device on the Zuanilan, and winning the war with fearless sacrifice. But now, the goal has changed from destroying the enemy warships to defending the Earth and repelling the enemy. Order, all combat units, assemble at the center of the Earth and the Moon, all carrier-based aircraft, Mechas, deploy formations in turn. If the opponent attacks first, immediately counterattack. Wang Mazhao ordered in a deep voice. Zhou Yang nodded secretly, returned to the lounge, and asked Fuxi to connect with other members of the emergency committee. Zhou Yang is not the leader of the Earth, and the emergency committee is not a one-man show. If possible, Zhou Yang doesn't even want this position. Just now, the situation was urgent. If he didn't say it, Wang Mazhao might have directly ordered to start the attack. Now I still have to hold a meeting with the emergency committee to discuss, explain my ideas, and win their approval. The members of the emergency committee still support Zhou Yang's idea, repel the opponent, win time with space, and leave more time for the Earth to develop. The violent troops are just a stupid way, and stronger weapons are the kingly way. In space, Chen Finkyo and other 6 warships have slowly assembled at the center of the Earth and the Moon. 6 huge warships are lined up side by side, and each one is thousands of kilometers apart. In the center of the battleships, there are nearly 2,000 carrier-based aircraft. Behind the battleships, there are 70,000 Zhuang aircraft. These are all the belongings of the Earth. About 20,000 kilometers away from the battleships, on the right side of the Earth-Moon axis, the 4 battleships that blockaded the solar system also tore through the space and appeared, and were arranged together with the 5 battleships. Next to the battleships, batches of carrier-based aircraft appeared, but the number was obviously not as many as on the Earth side, with a maximum of about 1,000. In space, the 2 sides are confronting each other. The energy shield of ship number 1 has also begun to replenish. During the battle, the energy shield cannot be replenished. If it is damaged, it can only be rebuffered and propped up. However, in a stable state, it can be slowly repaired, and is now fully charged. On the bridge, Tang Ling frowned and said, "What do you mean by waiting for an opportunity? If something is impossible, there is no need to take risks. In a war like this, we must display the spirit of fearlessness of sacrifice to win." Chen Finkyo next to him frowned, thought for a moment, and said, "I roughly understand what the command center is thinking." "Oh, what do you mean?" Chen Finkyo looked at the 9 warships that had assembled in the distance, but did not launch an attack at the first time, and said, "I think after the first round of competition, the command center has realized that the strength of both sides is on the same level. How to say it? It's like we all have cold weapons and our fighting abilities are similar. It's not realistic to want to kill the other side with one sword, and the other side can run away at any time when they see they can't win, but we can't catch up with them. Maybe we can use desperate means, such as exchanging injuries for injuries, and maybe it is possible to kill the other side, but we will also be seriously injured." Tang Ling understood a little bit and said, "You said so much. In short, you are afraid of death. So, in the name of you and me, we will ask the command center to fight, saying that more than 10,000 people on our ship are ready to sacrifice, and none of our soldiers are afraid of death." Chen Finkyo still shook his head and said, "You said it lightly. The command center thinks differently from us. They look at the overall situation. Maybe they have deeper considerations, and these are all unknown to us. A general is a general, and a soldier is a soldier. Soldiers don't have to think about anything, just obey orders, but generals have different considerations." Tang Ling frowned, still a little confused. At this time, the other side's 9 warships moved, and thousands of carrier-based aircraft spread out like locusts. Interstellar battleships start slowly, and are more clumsy, but carrier-based aircraft are different. They are lightweight and fast, so they need space to fight. If they are crowded together, they may collide with their own carrier-based aircraft. Chen Finkyo's face changed slightly, and he immediately ordered, "Prepare the laser cannons. Focus on target number 1, and fire." At the same time, all carrier-based aircraft disperse and cooperate with the Mecha to destroy the enemy carrier-based aircraft. The 6 warships had a common communication. All laser cannons, plus the laser cannons of the Earth-Moon base, nearly 4,000 laser cannons fired at the same time, targeting the enemy's number 1 warship. And the enemy warships, 9 of them, also fired at the same time, targeting the number 1 warship. All warships accelerated to evade. but it was too slow. It was too difficult to dodge the attack of laser weapons, and with such a large size, the chance of dodging was too low. In an instant, 2,000 laser beams almost submerged the number 1 warship. The huge energy impact shook the energy shield of the number 1 warship severely, and the number 1 warship was also shaking violently. Inside the number 1 ship, Chen Finkyo tightly grasped the handrail of the bridge and calmly ordered, "Keep speeding up, and spread out the formation." How much has the energy shield efficiency decreased? 11%. This time, the energy shield has been reduced by 11%. If it is hit 9 more times, the energy shield of the number 1 ship will be broken. The 6 warships quickly accelerated and dispersed, and all the carrier-based aircraft and the Mecha army also rushed out instantly. The war broke out instantly. Chapter 423 Carrier-based aircraft fighting. Lin Zhao drove the carrier-based aircraft and rushed out of the number 1 ship, but the imagined tragic battle did not happen immediately. The enemy warships began to withdraw. After chasing for a while, the warships of our side also stopped and began to assemble. "Captain, why don't you fight anymore?" In the communication channel, a team member discussed in confusion. "Why did these aliens run away? They are not running, they are waiting for reinforcement. Then at this time, we should rush up and fight with the other side." For this day, Lin Zhao and other team members have been training for a long time, just waiting for the battle to start and fight with the aliens. The captain's voice sounded, "Shut up, what is there to discuss? Do you need to explain to you why your superiors want to do something? Just obey orders." Lin Zhao didn't care too much, but searched the sky for Jinx's carrier-based aircraft. Soon, Lin Zhao saw a carrier-based aircraft with a small Pikachu painted on the main sphere of the carrier-based aircraft. It was Jinx's. Jinxie likes Pikachu, so he sprayed a Pikachu on the carrier-based aircraft he was driving. Many carrier-based aircraft have done this kind of painting. In addition to personal hobbies, it can also distinguish teammates through visual contact at critical moments. For this reason, the superior did not stop it. Lin Zhao was a little worried about Jinxi's safety, especially after the relationship was confirmed. He was not afraid of his own death, but was afraid that Jinxi would get into trouble. This wait lasted for nearly a minute, and 4 more warships appeared on the other side. At this time, Lin Zhao received the order to attack. Without orders, Lin Zhao knew that it was time for him to go out, and the other side's carrier-based aircraft also began to go out. "We have the advantage in numbers, so we don't need to take risks easily. We will cooperate with 2 aircraft, form groups, roam around, and look for opportunities." The captain's voice sounded. Lin Zhao took a deep breath, and the carrier-based aircraft thrusters started rushing out like a stream of light. The flexibility of the carrier-based aircraft is self-evident. In an instant, it reached a maximum speed of 24,000 km per second. The distance between the warships of the 2 sides was only 20,000 kilometers, and it could reach the other warship in 1 second. However, Lin Zhao did not approach, but tilted upwards and pulled up. The enemy's carrier-based aircraft were also rising rapidly, tilting upward like 1,000 arrows. Obviously, both sides had the same goal, to rise above the warships and resolve the battle in a wider area. You have to know that the 15 warships below were bombarding each other, and 6,000 laser cannons were roaring. That was 6,000 laser beams, densely packed. The area between the 2 sides was simply a death zone. With the power of the warship's laser cannon, it was probably only a single shot to break the energy shield of the carrier-based aircraft and take the carrier-based aircraft away. "Fire!" someone shouted in the communication channel. The surrounding carrier-based aircraft kept firing, and the dense laser beam streaked through the starry sky like a meteor shower, landing in the enemy's carrier-based aircraft group, exploding with dots of energy light. Lin Zhao was not in a hurry to open fire. He drove the carrier-based aircraft to the right front. The first round of attack was a saturation attack, which was highly efficient but more dangerous. He chose to wander around and give full play to his skills, instead of desperately destroying a carrier-based aircraft. It would be glorious if he kept a useful body, so that he could destroy more carrier-based aircraft and cause greater casualties. In the first round of attack, Lin Zhao was not affected, but at least hundreds of carrier-based aircraft were destroyed by both sides. The loss was amazing. At this time, Lin Zhao also found his target, a carrier-based aircraft that was also floating on the periphery. Lin Zhao adjusted his posture, and under his high concentration, the passage of time seemed to slow down. In an instant, he read out the important data of the opponent and himself, such as the direction of movement, speed of movement, distance, etc. Lin Zhao looked for the most suitable opportunity to launch a mobile phone, and then he found it, adjusted the posture of the carrier-based aircraft, and fired a round of salvos. 8 laser beams hit the opponent accurately. In this battlefield, where carrier-based aircraft are flying all over the sky, at a glance, there are exploding energy lights everywhere, thousands of targets are in chaos, and the speed is thousands or tens of thousands of kilometers per second, so attention is inevitably distracted, and it is entirely possible to ignore the enemy behind you. And this warship ignored that it was being targeted by Lin Zhao, and all 8 laser beams hit it. The energy shield was much weaker. However, the opponent's reaction was also very fast, quickly pulling up, bursting out with all its strength, and escaping to a higher place. How could Lin Zhao let him go and chase him immediately? The Kuafu class carrier-based aircraft is faster than the enemy's carrier-based aircraft, which can be 2,000 kilometers faster per second. In 1 second, Lin Zhao was about to catch up with the opponent. The carrier-based aircraft in front was making irregular maneuvers, obviously a veteran. However, Lin Zhao, who was concentrating, showed amazing combat qualities. He adjusted his posture and found another opportunity to attack. The weapon was fired, and 8 laser beams flashed, at least 6 of which hit the opponent. With a bang, the opponent's energy shield was torn apart and quickly disappeared. The opponent suddenly began to slow down. Just like the Cobra maneuver, he wanted to use inertia to get rid of Lin Zhao's pursuit. However, when he saw the opponent slowing down, Lin Zhao had already reacted. The turret quickly adjusted backwards, and the carrier-based aircraft under his seat passed under the opponent like a sharp arrow. But the attack did not stop. The turret that had been adjusted in place opened fire. The enemy carrier-based aircraft in the deceleration state was easier to aim. 8 laser beams flashed and submerged the opponent. With a bang, the enemy carrier-based aircraft exploded into a ball of fire. Well done. The intelligent program upgraded. But the next moment, it screamed, "Be careful." From the right rear laser beam shot out. Lin Zhao maneuvered instantly, but was still hit by a laser beam, and the energy shield was weakened a little. But at this moment, a Kuafu class carrier-based aircraft suddenly came from the right rear. The continuous attack instantly broke the energy shield of the enemy carrier-based aircraft and took the opponent away. With a quick glance, Lin Zhao saw the Pikachu logo on the opponent's carrier-based aircraft. It was Jinxi. Lin Zhao immediately opened the communication channel and added Jinxi's communication channel, then said, "Follow me, we will act together." As he said that, he tilted and turned back, heading to the main battlefield behind him. "Okay." Jinxi's short response came from the communication channel. In the main battlefield, 3,000 carrier-based aircraft have become a mess, fighting madly within a range of 100,000 kilometers. In addition to the first round of attacks, the carrier-based aircraft on the Earth side will fully comply with the orders of the command center after the carrier-based aircraft disperse. The 2 aircraft will work together to give full play to the majority, wait for opportunities to roam, and cooperate with each other to attack. In terms of performance, the Kuafu class originally has a certain advantage in speed, so after using this method of warfare, the results of the battle are also brilliant. In the starry sky, one enemy carrier-based aircraft after another was blown up, and the explosions and flames continued. The battle of the warships below also quickly entered a tense state. Chapter 424 Calm down. Ship number 1 maintained high speed and maneuvered to the right front. Behind it, ship number 2 and ship number 3 followed. In the other direction, ship number 4, 5, and 6 also leaned together and maneuvered to the left front. The whole was like a slowly opening fan. In military terms, it was a two-sided encirclement, but without a central breakthrough. The Earth-Moon laser cannon base was like a long-range artillery base. As for the 70,000 Xuanians, it was not their turn to get involved in this level of battle. All of them took off, pulled to a farther distance, and attacked with laser guns. Although the attack was weak, they won in numbers. Together, 500 laser cannons could still hold up. The war lasted for 1 minute, and both sides fired at least 8 or 9 rounds of salvos. Target number 1, which was locked on the Desatine fleet, was already a little overwhelmed. It can be clearly seen that the energy shield strength of the Desatine battleship was higher. But no matter how strong it was, it could not withstand such a bombardment with more than double the firepower. Battleship number 1 began to move toward the center of the other 8 battleships, trying to use the other 8 battleships as a shield for defense. At this time, Chen Finkyo saw a dazzling energy halo appear near target number 1. Not good. It has activated the space jump and is trying to run. Chen Finkyo exclaimed. He quickly glanced at the energy shield and saw that there was only 63% left. Chen Finkyo hurriedly said, "Speed up, rush over, and make sure to tear a hole." Battleship number 1 began to rush toward the enemy battleship. Battleships number 2 and number 3 also quickly followed. All weapons also began to focus fire, trying to tear a hole. However, target number 1 was surrounded in the center. The 8 battleships surrounded it from top to bottom, and left to right, and there was no gap at all. The energy shields of the 8 enemy ships on the periphery could not be opened in a short time. How about we rush over and knock them open? Chen Finkyo was a little anxious. Tang Ling's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly persuaded, "How can that be possible? Energy shields collide with each other, just like rocks collide directly. At such a fast speed, we will also be destroyed. Then what should we do? We can't just watch them escape." Chen Finkyo shouted. At this time, the command center sent the latest order. Under the holographic projection, Wang Mazhao appeared directly and said in a deep voice, "Chen Finkyo, stop approaching. If the other party wants to escape by space jump, let him go." Chen Finkyo hurriedly said, "Minister, how can this be done? We have spent so much effort and finally almost destroyed the other party's energy shield. They ran away, and what should we do if they are fully charged and come back?" Wang Mazhao said in a deep voice, "Then tell me, the other party surrounded the bucket formation. How did you attack the number 1 target?" Chen Finkyo gritted his teeth and said, "I rushed over and knocked their formation apart." "Bullshit." Wang Mazhao cursed. "Chen Finkyo, I think you are too excited. Your brain is too hot. Do you think the warship is your own? You can crash it if you want. Will you pay for it if it is damaged?" Chen Finkyo's face turned pale with these words. Tang Ling, who was beside him, hurriedly pushed Chen Finkyo and whispered, "Old Chen, the minister is right. We can't take risks." As he spoke, the other party's number 1 target had completed the preparation for space jump and directly drilled into the space channel and disappeared in a flash. At this time, it was impossible to catch up, even if we wanted to maintain the original formation and continue to attack. Wang Mazhao's expression was serious, and he warned at last, "Chen Finkyo, calm down for a while." After that, he disappeared. Chen Finkyo slapped the bridge railing with an angry palm. Very angry. Tang Ling sighed. "Okay, Lao Chen, even if you really crash into it, you may not be able to break it open, and at such a close distance, if we are trapped, it will be really over. Now I understand the minister's idea. We only have 6 warships, and if we destroy one, we will have one less, but the enemy is different. They only have 1 fleet this time, but they have more warships." Chen Finkyo sighed. "Okay, I understand what you mean. Then move closer to the 2nd and 3rd ships, maintain the formation, continue to attack, and see who can outlast the other." On Earth, in the underground refuge base, Zhou Yang also saw that the energy shield of an enemy warship was hit to the warning line, and then it escaped by space jump under the cover of other warships. The direction of the jump was the position of Pluto before, the outer part of the solar system, and then it stopped there, and did not move again. "Space jump," Zhou Yang muttered, secretly clenching his fists. If humans also mastered this technology, then in the situation just now, Zhou Yang would definitely have people chase after it and completely destroy the battleship. But humans don't have it. Technology is the foundation. If the Earth has super weapons, no matter what kind of battleship you have, one shot will be fired, and your entire fleet will be destroyed. Retreat. Retreat quickly. Repel you, and I can complete the random task, and get the technical information of the super weapon. Zhou Yang prayed secretly. The battle continued. 2 minutes later, another enemy battleship was on the verge of breaking the energy shield. As before, the other 7 battleships quickly surrounded it to help target number 2 resist the attack. Target number 2 also quickly started the space jump and prepared to escape. Compared with before, the protection of the 7 battleships still revealed some gaps, but because of the shooting range, there were not many weapons that could be attacked. The limited attack still failed to destroy the opponent before the opponent started the space jump. Another enemy warship escaped. At this time, the energy shield of warship number 1 was also on the verge of the warning line. Wang Muzhou immediately said, "Quick, warships number 2 and number 3 go up, warships number 4, 5, and 6 move closer to this side to cover the evacuation of warship number 1. At the same time, he contacted warship number 1 specifically and ordered Chen Finqiao to retreat. In warship number 1, the energy shield was only 15% left. At most, after 3 or 4 rounds of attack, the energy shield would be broken. At that time, warship number 1 would be allowed to be slaughtered. Chen Finqiao also received Wang Muzhou's order, slapped the railing with an angry palm, and gritted his teeth and said, "Evacuate towards the Earth." Warship number 1 slowly turned around and headed towards the Earth. And ships number 2 and number 3 also blocked closely between ship number 1 and the enemy warship to block the opponent's attack. In the distance, ships number 4, 5, and 6 were also coming quickly. As for the enemy warships, they also began to adjust their positions, intending to attack ship number 1. But the number 1 ship still had some energy shields, and under the cover, it quickly reached its maximum speed and broke into the Earth's atmosphere. The atmosphere is another layer of protection. The enemy warships quickly gave up the idea of pursuing, because they also had a warship that was about to be blown up, and quickly began to gather to cover the evacuation. The battle between the warships was too cautious, and there was no intention to fight to the end. This was normal. After all, the warships were more precious and more important. The battle between carrier-based aircraft was much more tragic. Chapter 425, Abundant Battle. Lin Zhao breathed heavily. Driving a carrier-based aircraft uses brainwave access. Just think about it. At a speed of tens of thousands of kilometers per second, the human brain has to capture the target, respond, and issue commands to the various systems of the carrier-based aircraft. It even has to adjust its posture to capture the fleeting opportunity to attack. This series of processes puts a lot of pressure on the brain. In the previous training, Lin Zhao and his team also did extreme tests. About half an hour is the limit of the brain. When you reach that limit, it's like working crazy for 2 days and 2 nights, and falling asleep as soon as you close your eyes. And this is still under artificial simulation conditions. On the real battlefield, the situation will be more complicated. Therefore, like now, after only a few minutes of fighting, Lin Zhao already feels tired. The body is not tired, but the brain is tired. However, Lin Zhao is gritting his teeth and persisting, trying to keep himself in the best condition. In the same team, there are 12 mechas, and 3 of them have completely disappeared. Lin Zhao understands that they are one step ahead. Lin Zhao is very familiar with these people. As soon as he closes his eyes, their voices and faces will appear in his mind. His nose was a little sour, but Lin Zhao held it back. He was not qualified to cry for his comrades now. If he wanted to cry, he would wait until the war was over and cry properly. Otherwise, he would accompany his comrades on the road and let others cry for him. "Jinxie, can you still hold on?" Lin Zhao asked. Jinxie's tired voice came from the communication channel. "No problem. Then come again. I'll take the lead." Lin Zhao glanced at the energy shield. 39%. This energy shield can still hold on for the time being, but if it is targeted, it will definitely not be able to withstand it. It is a relatively low danger line. At this moment, dense laser beams suddenly appeared from the right. Lin Zhao's face changed slightly, and he moved in a small arc like a conditioned reflex. Luckily, he avoided many attacks. Turning his head, the system had captured 3 enemy carrier-based aircraft, locked Lin Zhao and rushed over. Obviously, Lin Zhao, who had cooperated with Jinxie and shot down 5 carrier-based aircraft, had been regarded as a key person by the enemy. Lin Zhao, get out of the way. Jinxie shouted anxiously in the communication channel. Lin Zhao controlled the carrier-based aircraft and maneuvered frantically to dodge. However, the enemy had 3 carrier-based aircraft. Although Jinxie was attacking frantically, the 3 carrier-based aircraft ignored Jinxie and just focused on Lin Zhao. In just a few seconds, Lin Zhao's energy shield had been reduced from 39% to 22%. In a little while, the energy shield would be broken. Lin Zhao was also anxious and gritted his teeth and said, Jinxie, I will slow down and force them to slow down. Then we will cooperate well and kill one of their enemy planes. Slowing down will greatly increase the hit rate. No. Jinxie flatly refused, saying, your energy shield is already very inefficient. If you slow down, you will explode in at most 2 rounds of attacks. You are going to die. I don't agree. You promised me before that you would go back alive with me. At the end of the words, Jinxie's voice had already become tearful. Silly girl, it may not be a problem. Lin Zhao said softly. If he was chased like this, he would definitely be blown up. 1 against 3 is no joke. He had challenged it in the previous test and failed completely. Now, he would be blown up in 10 seconds at most. But as Lin Zhao said, slow down and force the opponent to slow down. He shot backwards, while Jinxie attacked from the side. Maybe he could shoot down an enemy plane before he was destroyed. 1 for 1. At least he could save his capital. I don't agree, Lin Zhao. If you dare to die alone, I will not let you go, even if I become a ghost. Jinxie roared, and at the same time, she also attacked the enemy plane like crazy. But the enemy plane, apart from dodging, had no intention of turning its head to attack. It just stared at Lin Zhao and attacked. Ready? Lin Zhao suddenly said in the communication channel. Jinxie was startled and was about to say something else. Suddenly, a dense laser beam appeared from the top of his head, covering one of the 3 enemy planes. In just a moment, the enemy plane was blown up. A man's voice suddenly interrupted the communication channel. I say, you 2 guys, are you acting out a blue love story? Are you slowing down and looking for death? Lin Zhao, after training for so long, this is all you have learned? The next moment, 6 carrier-based aircraft descended from the sky. The 2 enemy aircraft below instantly scattered to the left and right and fled frantically. Captain. Lin Zhao exclaimed. The person who spoke was the captain of Lin Zhao's team. The 6 carrier-based aircraft did not disperse, but directly stared at an enemy aircraft and chased it, and said in the communication channel at the same time, Lin Zhao, don't forget, we are not fighting alone. We have twice the number of carrier-based aircraft as the enemy. You are all carefully selected and precious carrier-based aircraft pilots. The loss of any one of you is a huge loss, so there is no need to take risks at all. I see that your energy shield has reached the warning line. Evacuate to a safe area, restart the energy shield, and then come to fight. Go. Jinxie will go too. The energy shield of the carrier-based aircraft was broken. Of course, it can be restarted, but it takes time. On the battlefield, the enemy will not give you this time. Evacuate to a safe area, of course. You can restart, and then return with full health. Lin Zhao was a little dazed. Before the battle, the captain was still shouting that he wanted to fight the aliens, and everyone had to fight to the end. Why did he turn around and start talking about not taking risks? What about the lost comrades? In fact, at the beginning, the command center's idea was to fight to the death and never let the aliens have an easy time. But soon Zhou Yang adjusted the strategic intention to repel the opponent. The carrier-based aircraft received the latest order a little late, and the intensive attacks from both sides at the beginning caused some casualties. However, after adjusting the strategic intention, the carrier-based aircraft that reached the warning line immediately evacuated under the cover of their teammates, and then restarted the energy shield, and the war losses immediately dropped sharply. That is, they can do this because they have more carrier-based aircraft than the enemy. The enemy's carrier-based aircraft could not evacuate, and they did not receive the order to evacuate, so they could only bear it, and the losses were getting bigger and bigger. In space, there were occasional explosions and flames, all of which were destroyed enemy carrier-based aircraft. 9 warships, more than 1,000 carrier-based aircraft, had lost nearly half of them at this time. But the more critical thing was the enemy's warships. As the energy shields of the warships were in danger, it was difficult to cover the retreat in all directions, so it was necessary to raise the warning line of the warship energy shield so that they could evacuate safely. In this way, the speed of the enemy's warships retreating became faster and faster. Soon, there were only 4 enemy warships left in space, and on the Earth side, there were also 4 left. The number of warships is equal. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.